everyone, again, thank you for your time. And it's a very nice event that we have more than 10 countries attend this global gamification hackathon. And we will have more than 10 speakers at the opening speech. I am very excited to make this speech, but let me start to talk first. What is GamFed? Who is GamFed Turkey? And why we are doing this event as a globally. So GamFed is a non-profit organization located and founded in United Kingdom. So Doğancan is going to be mention about that too. And first event in Turkey focus on gamification organized by GamFed in 2017. So that was the first conference that we can produce. And that was the first conference. After that, we have many congratulations about the events and looking forward to make another kind of event that we want to be make a real project. So after seeing too much good speaking, people request from me, include the GamFed Turkey community, and they call Game Jam, Gamification Jam, but we ask experts, and it's not jam because it's not gaming stuff. We are solving the problems. We are a business model, so they call this hackathon. So we started to do gamification hackathon in Turkey for the first time 2019, and we have had great success with the in my university, Bahçe University. We have a physically more than 20 team attend the first Turkey's gamification hackathon, and we did this 2 times physically in my university. And after pandemic in 2020, we did this 2 times in online too for my country, Turkey. And this year, 2023, we focus on globally and support of and influence for like people you are going to watch like Andrzej Warczewski or Yuka Cho or Roman Rakwitz. They are all requests from why you do this gamification hackathon only for Turkey and why you do this in Porto only Turkish content. So this year we succeed about it. We have more than 70 attended, and right now we have more than 40 countries. Doğancan is going to share more details, and we are going to focus only 48 hours gamification, and we are going to make more than 10 great projects you will watch with the prototype, and they will have great mentorship from all over the world, from Brazil to Korea. Many experts going to be help our teams. So we will very excited to see the results and this great event, thanks to GamFed Turkey members. But like I told you, Afra was our captains in GamFed Turkey. Thanks for her to organize all teams, but more than 30 volunteers from Turkey actually help about include to social media, include to technical, include to design, include to teamwork and preparing the teams to the great event. So thanks for all GamFed Turkey volunteers. But one of them called names Doğancan. Actually, we call captain of this event because he just want to be help me about this event. And I think more than 3 or 4 months, we work every day. And because of the earthquake in Turkey, we already postponed the event. So because of the 1 month more, we already everything with him. Every day we was together, and maybe he just get bored about me and this event, but actually he is the one of the organizer of this great event, and it's happening because of him. Thanks for Doğancan, and I'm going to introduce Doğancan to you. Please, Doğancan, welcome.
Thank you, Ercan. And first of all, I'm definitely not, it's not boring for me. I'm very happy that I'm in GamFed Turkey and I'm in the gamification ecosystem. So let me introduce myself. Hi, everyone. My name is Doğancan Sökmen. Many of you know me as Can as well. And I'm a game designer, and I started the company after I moved to London to create games to the UK market. But I also want to have some gamified solutions as a B2B service. So when I tried to improve myself in gamification concept, I met dear Ercan Yılmaz and GamFed Turkey. And since I joined to GamFed Turkey, I exactly want to learn everything about gamification as a volunteer in GamFed Turkey. So last year, we organized a gamification hackathon in India with the help of Deep Jain. And we gained the experience about this hackathon, and we aim to make the first hackathon on a global scale after we gained that experience. So let me talk with the numbers. We form a team from our volunteer group, approximately 40 people, yeah. And we are working for this hackathon since, as Ercan also mentioned, like 3 or 4 months. And I can say some of us gave everything, did everything they could for this event, like Daria, one of our co-captain, we called captain in our GamFed Turkey, but you can think as a co-organizer of this event, Daria, and also for our social media, we have Selame as a captain. She did everything for this event. We have, you already see that we have Afra as a Discord and Zoom captain, and many names actually, Betül, Emirhan, Karya, many names are working on this event for 3 months. And we made more than 100 Zoom meetings with all participants, mentors, speakers, event partners, also on our group sessions while we are preparing this event. And we, unfortunately, because of the this earthquake disaster that took place in Turkey and Syria on February 6th, we postponed the event for a month to focus for helping to focus to heal our wounds at that time. But now we have 13 great names as a speaker in this event, 12 names as a mentor, 14 great names as a team partner, and 4 as a jury member. And we have 14 different countries. Actually, we have 60 participants from 14 different countries. So I think the event is actually getting bigger and getting much more and better after this postponement. So with the great support we got from our event sponsors, actually, such as Wayfarer Points from USA, Inustur Technologies, one of the biggest companies in gamification area in Turkey, from Turkey, and Funnifier Gamification Solutions from Canada. We bring this event to you. So you will see some mentors, jury members from these companies also this weekend on Discord. And we have many event partners like Gamification Europe, Sententia Gamification and Gamicon, Growth Engineering, Moby Dictum, Gamified, Mina, VMaker, even e-graphics for our website, and many more. So now we are ready with a large number of people and companies to start this global gamification hackathon. So let me continue what awaits us for this event. In this 48-hour hackathon, we are starting with opening speeches from world-renowned gamification experts. So you will get the idea about the essentials of gamification and current projects in gamification ecosystem. So after the opening speeches, we will be on Discord. All teams will start their projects on Discord, and all mentoring sessions will be on Discord. So basically, all creation process will be on Discord. And we have some recordings from gamification experts like Monica Cornetti, Bart Hufen, Sylvester Arnap, Albert van der Meer. So you can reach anytime to these recordings on Discord. That's, I think it's going to be very helpful for you. And you will have an opportunity to connect as gamification professionals important mentor sessions from great mentors. And also in this event, you will have opportunity to work with a mentor, with a team partner, directly working with you for 48 hours. And finally, pitching a project to a great jury is waiting for us in this event. So final presentations will be are going to be again on Zoom, and teams will have 3 minutes to pitch their prototypes and 1 minute for 1 minute additional 1 minute for introducing themselves. And our 4 jury members, Toby Beresford, Victoria Ichizli Bartels, I hope I'm pronouncing correctly, Juliet Denny, and Ebu Bekir Kaplan will evaluate these projects and on a breakout room on Zoom, and they will turn back with the results to share the winners and rewards. So to sum up, the excitement of creating a journey from idea to product as a team in a limited time, in a weekend full of gamification is waiting for you. So thank you for listening to me.
Thank you, Doğancan. Thank you very much. I mean, it's a great concept that we already produce, and we have great jury, we have great mentors, and we are very excited about what teams are going to produce. But what motivates for us to. Sometimes people ask me about what motivates you, Altu. I know that gamification is motivating you, but is it money? Is it status? Is it something? No, my friends. Actually, the feedback from great people include like Yukai Cho, include people Andrzej Marchewski, include people from all over the world, like Roman Rakvis and this kind of thing. And the Turkey team, actually, everyone asks about me, what is the secret of the GamFed Turkey team that produce many events in 1 year and doing many Turkish content? And thanks to Yukai, actually, because in 2018, when we are trying to do our first Turkish in presenting conference in Turkey, and we have just 2 or 3 foreign speakers, and it's not easy to motivate actually the volunteers team with only the Turkish speakers or just me, so maybe it was a small yes from Yukai for in 2018, but thank God that he said Yukai is yes. So he spent a weekend, like 48 hours in Turkey, in Istanbul in 2018. And actually our community wasn't built that, but after that day, having a time with Yukai in 1 day, 2 days, and we actually became a community. After Yukai left from Turkey, everyone asked about me when Yukai got back, or who is going to come next year. We invite Roman Rakvis and we invite Jasmine Karataj, so we put effort on it. So this event, when we are talking about the Gamification Hackathon, doing in not only Turkey, try to do like 14 countries and more than 100 attendees all over the world, from Colombia to Korea. We always knock the UK Cho's door. So that was our motivation. This is all free events by organizing the volunteers, but we motivate to watch Yukai Cho's, a presentation, having a time with him and watching his ideas on especially the gamification and this era. He has a right now startup called MetaBlocks, and he has got many experience in NFTs, GameFi experience. So I am very honored again to welcome the world's #1 expert and one of the best mentor of me and GamFed Turkey community, Yukai Cho, this time to make the opening speech. Yukai, welcome, my friend.
Thank you. It's a great pleasure to. Thank you. It's a great pleasure to be here. As mentioned, I have a long history with the organization, and just very excited to help the new generation go through the journey that I went through, starting from 2003. So I've been in the space of gamification for about 20 years now. So it's pretty crazy. And I think today my main talk will be about a gamified future powered by fun. And so just a quick background myself, again, I started my journey into gamification in 2003. So it made me one of the earlier pioneers in the industry, wrote a book called Actionable Gamification, published a framework. And my design work, we did some calculation and we saw that it has empowered over 1 billion user experiences throughout the years with many, many clients. And I've taught my framework, the Octalysis framework, which I'll share if you haven't seen it before, at places like Stanford, Yale, Oxford University, Google, Tesla, IDEO, a variety of places. From a VR, AR, metaverse standpoint, I was also for a while the head of creative labs and head of digital commerce for HTC. And from a blockchain NFT standpoint, I was also a chief experience officer for one of the co-founders of Ethereum, Anthony Diorio. And so was very happy to have this journey in gamification. And as mentioned, I also have a Web3 project myself called Metablogs, et cetera, et cetera. And this is my book called Actionable Gamification. We sold a little over 100,000 copies around the world since I published it. So I think it's very good that people are inspired by some of the work I've been doing and helping. And I think the talk today, I'm going to talk about some of the foundational things that I think people expect me to talk about, my framework. But I think it's really to inspire hope about where this can take you and how your work in gamification can really improve society and make things a better place. And I run a consultancy and design company called the Octalysis Group. And we see that more and more companies are coming to us saying, hey, of course, every company needs gamification, and that's why we need your help. So companies are recognizing that gamification before and even now, it's still a competitive advantage. And then in the future, companies will have to do it just to survive. And of course, we always suggest companies doing something when it gives you a competitive advantage, as opposed to just surviving. Just like having a website maybe 20 years ago was something that, or maybe 25 years ago was a competitive advantage. And obviously now, if you don't have a website, you can't really be in much business. So you can see there's a variety of companies and startups that have worked with us, applying it in a lot of traditional businesses. You can see that pretty high profile people, VP at Google, I'm not going to read the quotes, partner exec director at IDEO, or even like traditional insurance company like AIG. They all talk about, gamification has done quite a high value for what they're doing, or they're very interested in what we're doing. And also one of my most passionate projects also is something called Octalysis Prime. So it's basically a gamified platform to learn about gamification. So there's a lot of people who have read my book maybe 2 or 3 times. They're like, okay, what's next? And I feel like it's interesting because oftentimes it doesn't matter if I'm doing a 20-minute talk or 1-hour speech or 5-hour workshop or a 5-day workshop. I always have to start from the beginning and cover the same foundations and then try to push as far as I can. It's almost like those old arcade games. I don't know if many of your audience have seen those these days, but you start playing the game. It doesn't matter how far you go. The next time you play, you start from stage 1 again. And later on, more advanced games comes in. You can save your progress and you keep going. So this is just a journey of me sharing everything that I have learned onto a gamified platform. And there's a reason why I haven't published my second book yet. Hopefully today or this year I'll do that. But it's because I made 1,200 videos on gamification, behavioral design, entrepreneurship, everything I've learned onto this platform. It's like downloading my brain. And what's interesting about this is that the engagement is quite high. We have a DAU over MAU of 38%. So daily active user over monthly active user. What that means is if you at least come to learn a little bit, right? You're a monthly active user, come once a month. There's a 38% chance that you come in every single day. And Netflix for the time being was a golden race standard at 42% DAU or MAU. But Netflix is all about addictive cliffhangers and drama, whereas this one is just staring in my face every day, teaching gamification. So, but anyway, so we're gonna jump into again what I'm most known for, something called the Octalysis framework, and it's something that I published in 2012, and it's the crystallization of many years of playing games, 10,000 hours of playing games, and really refusing for those hours to be wasted to become nothing and just a hobby. So it's like, hey, I want to apply the things that I've learned in games. And why are people so engaged in games when they know they're not getting a lot of real life value from it? And then there's things that people know they should do to get real life value, like exercising, eating healthily, learning, studying, doing work, but people just don't want to do it. And so that's when I started creating the journey of applying that. So this octalysis from, it's called the octalysis because it's a combination between the word octagon and analysis. And inside there's the 8 core drives that empower all our behavior. So everything we do is based on one or more of these 8 core drives, which means that if there's none of these 8 core drives there's zero motivation, no behavior happens. And then outside, there's an example list, not exhaustive list, just example list, variety of game design techniques that can bring out those 8 core drives. And one thing that's also very, very blessed for me to say is that when I published the framework in 2012, I just wanted to create a tool that could, solve problems, help clients, help myself. I was intellectually curious. I really didn't have any ambitions in academia. But now if you go to Google Scholar and you search for the word octalysis, actually now it's, I think 2,200 now, but you'll see over 2,000 PhD thesis academic journals just applying the octalysis framework to a variety of things. Like here, it's student core drives on e-learning during COVID-19 or human factors and quality management, et cetera, et cetera. So just getting very, very blessed that just something I did just out of interest and curiosity stands strong in the academic world. So we're going to quickly go through those 8 core drives, but I'm not going to spend too much time on each of them because I have other talks out there, a lot of things online that you can check it out. But what I want to do is I want to showcase an example in the world that uses this core drive pretty straightforwardly, and it actually generates results, ROI, that's measurable. So every core drive will come with an example that has some numbers to show how well this core drive made something successful. And so core drive 1 is epic, meaning, and calling. It's doing something bigger than ourselves. So this is the core drive about things like honor, justice, it's saving the world, it's sustainability, helping poverty. It's also things like patriotism, some people like religion or faith or politics. And one example is Ant Financial / Alipay. So this is a payments app in China. And when you think about payments, it doesn't sound that fun, right? It sounds very transactional. I transact money to you and you get money, that's it. And that's what we call a function-focused world. And what we want to create is a human-focused world. So this Ant Financial Alipay created kind of like a game interface where as you do transactions, you send payments, you start to accumulate this game currency and you can plant virtual trees. But more importantly, you can plant real trees in the real world. And we see that as of August 2021, 326 million trees were planted in China because of this Alipay Ant Forest. So as far as my limited knowledge on sustainability, I think 326 million extra trees in the world helps everyone in the world and helps the climate and all that stuff. So it's very, very powerful. And the key thing is when you have an app like this, you are less motivated, less likely to want to use another app, right? Because the other app just helps you do transactions. But when you use this, you feel like you're saving humanity, you're being a hero in this world. And so that creates more engagement and more sustainability. You'll see later, there's gamified techniques that drive short-term obsession or addiction. And then there's some gamified techniques that drive long-term sustainable interest and passion. Core drive 2 is development and accomplishment. So this is pretty straightforward. This is basically you're doing something because you are improving yourself, you're leveling up, you're achieving mastery. And most of the points and badges we see in a lot of gamified systems, they fall into this core drive because points are really just counters, right? Mathematical counters. They show a sense of progression. But so even though you're seeing this, you're doing the same activity over and over and over again, hey, at least you see this this number going higher and higher, or this progress bar growing. And so you feel like you're getting somewhere. And badges are what we call achievement symbols. They symbolize a sense of accomplishment. And achievement symbols can be in many different forms. It could be badges, could be about trophies, crowns, uniform changes, black belt, white belt in terms of martial art. And of course, that was also applied to factory management in Six Sigma. But the key thing is that it must symbolize an accomplishment. If you give people a badge for every silly thing they do, then it's just the icon, right? It has no meaning. It's like I'm not in kindergarten. I don't need a gold sticker for like making my first friend or surviving day 1 instead of surviving day 3. You have to design it so that these icons actually represent achievement, accomplishment in it. So easy example is Strava. Strava is a exercise workout app, and we all know that exercising, health is important, but our brains don't like to process long-term benefits. We like short-term gratification. So apps like Strava tell you, hey, you know, you are running a bit better than last week. This is how you're growing. This is how you're improving. And so as of 2021, 95 million active users have done 22 billion exercise activities. And also, obviously, they see a lot of value because this app actually made $167 million in revenue of that year. What's crazy, if you're a huge company, maybe that number seems just okay. But what's crazy is that that number is 70% higher than last year, which was around 70% higher than the year before. So this is almost doubling in revenue every year because people really love this type of gamified exercise to track their growth. Core Drive 3 is empowerment of creativity and feedback. So this is the drive that's more about self-expression, about meaningful choices. It's about autonomy. And you'll later see this is on the right top of the octagon, which means it's what we call a white hat, right brain intrinsic type of motivation. It's one of the longest lasting motivation that every timeless game has. And a lot of it is about meaningful choices and, you know, choosing skins in games, customizing things, all fall into the core drive. And this is a project that we designed for Porsche in Europe. And so Porsche came to us and the whole Volkswagen family, but our first project was on Porsche. And they want to create a loyalty program to engage their audience. And what they noticed is that the customers, while they really love their Porsche, they don't interact with the company very much, right? It's like there's not a lot of touch point. Usually when you do, there's something wrong, you want some kind of support, or it's time to buy a new car, which is many years later. So they wanted to create ongoing engagement with customers. So we've designed the experience called Boneo, which is, first of all, to quote unquote play this game, you need to own the Porsche. And then based on how you drive your car, you get different types of rewards, and also how you interact with other Porsche owners who have the app. You get a variety of rewards, including helping you upgrade to your next car more easily in the whole Volkswagen family, because they also have Bentley, they have Bugatti and all those things. So this was a fun design where you customize your car. You can do a lot of strategies and meaningful choices. And we saw that on the pilot they did in Austria when they launched it, users spent 5.5 minutes in that every single day. And they were not allowed to use the app while they were driving or moving the vehicle. So it's before or after driving, they're playing with the app, they're customizing their profile. And, you know, like I said, most car companies, they don't get to interact with their customers even for 5 minutes a month. And this is 5.5 minutes every single day, which shows strong engagement, and people really like that. Core Drive 4 is ownership and possession. So this is the drive that is about owning something, collecting something, or customizing, so you feel more attachment and ownership over that experience and whatnot. And one of the strongest examples in the world is about collection set designs, where if you go to a McDonald's or some store, you buy something, give you a piece of a puzzle, and when you get all the collectibles, you have a major reward. But the case study I want to show is actually one of the most impressive gamification case studies in the industry, and it's actually done by one of the sponsors of this event, Funny Fire. And so the founder of Funny Fire in 2014 came to San Francisco and took my workshop, and we struck up a deal that they can apply all the gamified concepts of the Octalysis framework, which is what I'm sharing today, into the Funny Fire platform. And so over the years, they got better and better, and more of those 8 core drives are implemented to it. And so then they were invited by Caixa Econômica Federal in Brazil to improve their recurring income. And it was a crazy project. My mind is still blown how they pulled it off, because the bank, Caixa Econômica Federal, they were the number 2 largest public bank in Brazil. And they needed to gamify the whole work experience for 83,000 employees at 4,500 locations. They need to tie every employee's work into some kind of gamified KPI system. And there were 70+ siloed systems that track, CRMs that track the activities. And then more crazily, they had 3 months to launch the project. And the goal was to increase recurring revenue by income by 5%. But what they come up with is very complex, but the core of it is a collection set design, where as employees do their work, they will randomly generate, let's say, a fourth of a TV or one half of a coffee machine. And if you collect all the parts, you can get a major reward. And what was crazy about it was they actually quickly reached the goal of increasing recurring revenue income by 5%. And at the end, they increased by 46%, which was the equivalent of $800 million in 9 months. And because of that, Caixa rose from the #2 public bank in Brazil to the #1 public bank in Brazil because of this gamification, the design. And at the time, so Ricardo's the founder, and he said he had some previous classmates who worked at the largest bank at the time, and they saw the numbers, they were shocked, they called him, and he's like, oh yeah, it's because we applied, gamification design to a lot of these things. So you can see $800 million changing the ranking of a bank. What you're doing here with gamification, if you do it well, can truly make a huge impact in this world. Core Drive 5 is social influence and relatedness. So this is basically saying whatever you do based on what other people do, think, or say. So it's things like competition, collaboration, gifting, group quest, stuff like that. And this goes into another project that we designed for basically a division of Procter & Gamble in Eastern Europe. This should be a Polish language here. And they also wanted to motivate their door-to-door sales staff to basically, they had to go to a retail store and say, hey, it seems like you have used up all your Procter & Gamble products to sell. So why don't you reorder from us, the distributor, and you can get more. So the issue is that these sales, obviously knocking door to door is usually not a very engaging job. And also the salespeople saw each other as their biggest competitors. So they don't tend to work together, help each other. So we designed something called Adventures of the Endless Sea. And so each salesperson actually is basically a previous century, like 14th century merchant seller. And he has his boat that he can upgrade as time goes on. But everyone has this town. And so for everyone's character in the town, there's basically health and wealth. Health is based on whether you do KPI activities, if you're trying to sell, trying to be educated, do more training programs. And then your wealth is if you close deals, you sell, you generate wealth. So not only do they personally have this type of this health and wealth, they also have a town that can generate health and wealth too. So, well, if no one does KPI activity, then the health of the town gets lower and people are getting sick. And if they close deals, then they generate more wealth and they can build more buildings. So now it becomes a team project where people have to work together to make this a better place. And as you know, they can upgrade their ships down the road, which is what we call a booster design, where the salespeople actually get feedback faster. Once they make the sale, it's in the system. They need a few hours to know that they made the sale. But when they upgrade their ships, they actually find out that they made the sale much, much earlier. And so this design was also a published case study. And so they did sales. So sales and training KPI activities went up by 59%. Sales revenue went up by 28.5%. And then social interactions, that was very hard to measure, but the client said they estimate that it went up by 300% based on the system. They saw that their salespeople started to interact with each other, talk to each other, help each other. And they saw everyone at the beginning, some people thought, okay, this is too gamey, I don't want to do it. But then week after week, people saw the other coworkers being so excited talking about it, and they feel like they're missing out. So they signed up. At the end, only one woman who was on pregnant leave didn't sign up to the system. And even one employee, when he had a sick day, he asked his manager if he was allowed to log into this gamified platform to check his status and whatnot. So this project actually won Best Gamification Project Award in 2017. And so this is why we get to see. The thing about the gamification world and a lot of these things we design for companies, they wanted to be confidential. A lot of these numbers were not allowed to share to the public world. And they don't want their competitors finding out, or they don't want to know what we did. But sometimes they'll come out because they want to make a big PR event, or they want to participate in a competition. And that's the rare moment where numbers actually come out. You get to see how things are performing, or else it's just, oh, look, it looks cool, but we have no idea if it's just flashy or it actually made the business more successful. So core drive 6 is scarcity and impatience. So this is basically saying you want something because you can have it. It's all about exclusivity. It's about limitation. If you only have 10 seconds to do something, you want to do it. You want to rush to do it, or else you don't care. If you only have 3 invites you can send out, then you quickly grab your friends. But if you have unlimited invites, you don't care. You want them to pay you first before you want to be a referral person. So this is all about limitations create desire. And this is another project that we helped design as the Ocalis group. It's called BitDegree. And so this is an online education platform where people are learning things in the blockchain world, how to do programming and all that stuff. And so we help them design a gamified exploration experience where you're in this cyberpunk futuristic world, and there's different districts, and you get to start. And a lot of the things are locked at the beginning. That's part of the scarcity. So, and you can see a chest that has requirements before you can open it, the daily streak, and you can see things are locked, the rewards are locked. And so people are more likely to engage with activity, to start unlocking things, because it feels a bit more like nudging. That's like, oh, there are so many things you can't have yet, as opposed to, hey, here's everything, here's 200 courses, go do what you want. And so luckily for this client, they actually did an A/B test. So they divided half the group, half their users to their old site that didn't have the gamified experience, and then half of the users to the new group, to the new site that had the gamified experience. And they saw that in the gamified experience, course completions went up by 350%. So before, only 10% of the students actually completed the course. Afterwards, 45% of the students completed the course. And time on platform was increased by 300%. And course completion time was reduced by 50%. So not only a lot more people completed it, they completed it at half the time than before. So this really made people complete courses. And we obviously know a lot of education has moved into the online space, and something like this becomes very, very valuable. Core Drive 7 is unpredictability and curiosity. So this is basically you're thinking about something because you don't know what's going to happen next. It's the gambling core drive, it's curiosity core drive. You see a lot of things like mystery box, you see things like Easter egg, all those things come into play with this core drive. And one of a pretty old case study that I wrote in my book already is the La Quinta Hotels and Lucky DM. So La Quinta Hotels is a decently large hotel chain in the United States, and they wanted also a way to engage their customers. So, and they reached out to Lucky DM, who brought us in to help them gamify the experience. And so they delivered this platform called Play and Stay. So they got people to come in and use the app or use the site, and they start playing a spinning wheel game, and then they can earn some special points. But then after you win it, there's going to be says, hey, you will get an extra 10% if you answer these little questions about the company. And hey, they'll get another 10% if you refer your friends. And what they saw is that 34% of the users return daily, and they return for 3.75 minutes. So again, this is a hotel chain. And so most of the time, you don't come to a hotel's website or mobile app for 3.75 minutes every single day, right? Importantly, they saw bookings per user went up by 200%. So as people went and played this, they started booking hotel rooms, and revenue per user actually went up by $157, which is 132% against the control group. And then finally, they have a viral coefficient of 530%. What does that mean? It means at the beginning, they sent out a huge email to a lot of people to sign up to it. And I remember the numbers. I think they said about 2,000 people signed up to the program, but then, and they stopped doing any type of marketing. And the 2,000 people engaged with it. They start to bring in their friends. And at the end of the few months experiment, there were more than 10,000 people using the app. So therefore, the 2,000 people brought in the other 8,000, which is why we see the viral coefficient over 500%. Core Drive 8 is loss and avoidance. So this is basically you're doing something to avoid a loss. You don't want something bad to happen. It's the fear core drive, and it's again, quite straightforward. And one app that uses this core drive quite well is the Forest app, which is a company that I'm surprisingly based in Taiwan. I actually found out when I moved to Taiwan, I met the founders. But this is a productivity app where the goal, it's a countdown timer where you first select a tree and then you set how many minutes and then you press start and the countdown timer goes and you're supposed to focus on some productivity tasks. Once the time goes to 0, you complete the task and it plants a tree into your forest. Now, the special treatment, what they did here was that if you get distracted, you start playing around with your phone, you actually will cause your tree to die. And it wouldn't just be like, oh, you failed your mission, too bad, let's start over. It'll actually plant your dead tree into your forest. So you're gonna have to stare at your failure of being distracted for a whole year and feeling bad about it. And so this app, as of 2021, they had 40 million downloads and very, very surprising in a high ratio, 5 million users have been paying users. So very, very successful. Yeah, so again, that is the Octalysis framework. It's worth mentioning that everything we do is based on one or more of these 8 core drives. So if there's none of these 8 core drives there's zero motivation, no behavior happens. I highly recommend you learning more about it and applying these principles into the project you're doing in the hackathon and in all the future things. And I want you to remember that what you're doing is not just for a hackathon. This stuff, I believe, and I've seen, can really make a huge change in the world. And as long as more people do it correctly, I think the world becomes a better place with fun. And then there's a lot of things I'm not going to go in detail with, but the framework is divided into left brain versus right brain core drives, with the left brain core drives being things you do for a reward, purpose, or a goal, but you don't necessarily enjoy the activity itself. So once you obtain the reward, you stop doing it. So it's good for like attracting new people to come in. Whereas the right brain core drive deal with intrinsic motivation, where these are things you enjoy doing to the point that people are willing to spend money just to experience it. And even if they lost all their progress the next day, you would still want to do the activity today, because that's how we measure our quality of lives, how much time we spent on things we just enjoy doing. So a lot of gamified systems out there are, hey, here's a really boring thing you should do, but if you do this boring thing 1,000 times, you'll get this reward, right? Not so great. That's like a job, right? Most people don't think a job is so fun. Whereas like a game, you want to first design to be fun. And it's usually coming from core drive 357. Give them meaningful choices and creativity. Give them a social experience. Give them surprising, delightful moments. And therefore, the activity is fun. And then you say, once you do this fun thing 1,000 times, you do it really well, then you get the left brain rewards. You get badge, achievement, status, money, whatever. So this is good for getting users to enjoy the activities and have fun. And then top, we call this white hat gamification core drives. It makes people feel powerful, in control, they feel good, but there's no sense of urgency, so they procrastinate. And the bottom ones, we call them black hat motivation core drives. Basically, things that make people feel urgent, obsessed, sometimes even addicted. But a lot of times it could leave a bad taste in their mouths because they feel like they're not in control of their own behavior. So again, I'm not going to go into a lot of details on this. I have other talks out there that talk about this, but I want to just say that this work that you're doing is important. It will make an impact, and I think it's great that you're participating in this hackathon. If you're interested in learning more about the Octalysis framework, you can check out my book. If you go to Amazon.com and you search for the word gamification, it should be the first result. And again, if you don't like to read or you want to go further, check out Octalysis Prime. So we say that this is basically like downloading my brain, because it's everything I've learned made onto the platform, 1,200 videos. I'm making more. We have 1 hour every week, live coaching sessions where I help members improve their designs, their products, whatnot. There's an exclusive Slack group of people just like you. And what's interesting is, this is not on purpose, but 85% of the people we hire into the Octalysis group, the designers, consultants, came out of Octalysis Prime. And it's just because literally I dumped the best training material there. Everything I trained my own team, my own company on, I put it on Octalysis Prime, including like $1,000 3-day master class that I put there. And then once they join my company, I put them in front of clients like, Tesla, like Walgreens, like Microsoft. So obviously they're learning the best stuff. So something to check out, Octalysis Prime. So yeah, with that said, thank you, truly. I look forward to seeing what you guys come up with, using creativity and making the world fun and better. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Kai. Thank you for this great presentation. That was very influencing for everyone. And looking forward to, I think many people first time heard about Octalysis and they will use their project. And if they have questions, we will try to help. But thank you again for this great presentation. And give our best wish to your group and Octalysis group workers like Joris, Berda, and Sabrina. They're all our friends too. So please give us our best wish, Yukai. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And next speaker, maybe you see Dr. Michael Wu, another great person I met because of the gamification, and a great person that also make very good speech about artificial intelligence between the gamification, and he has actually a great model for gamification, and he has been in Istanbul several times. He loves Istanbul. His wife loves Istanbul too. He is a great personality too. Nice to see him, and looking forward to watch his presentation. And Dr. Michael Wu, welcome, my friends. Hopefully you are all fine.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you for giving me the opportunity. Thank you for always asking me back to see all my old friends, because I was telling people that the gamification community is actually very near and dear to my heart. And even though I already now switch my focus to focus on more artificial intelligence and machine learning, I still actually am very passionate about changing human behavior. So thank you for giving me the opportunity to share some of my my insights.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. And so without further ado, let's start. And I am going to share my presentation.
Maybe you didn't see, but Yukai write something for you too. Maybe you want to say something back to him. He says, you're a great guy, also very humble.
Thank you. I mean, yeah, Yukai, you're too kind. So, yeah, it's great to see everybody here. So obviously, since I have, I would say, a little switch in focus, and I want to talk a little bit about gamification and artificial intelligence, and how they actually create almost like a learning loop itself. Okay, and so if you actually look at these two subjects, right, artificial intelligence and gamification, you almost wonder, like, what do they have to do with each other? Like, if you look at AI, there are things that involve a lot of mathematics and statistics and computer science. And on the other hand, gamification is all about design science, behavior science, psychology, and all this, behavior economics. I mean, they almost look like nothing related to each other, right? But surprisingly, one of those amazing things about artificial intelligence these days is that it's all about like machine learning something. These machines are become smart because they have the ability to learn. And whereas in the gamification world, it's about human learning something too. Human actually can actually learn to exhibit these new behaviors. Okay, and I don't think I need to say or tell you that the world of, I would say, artificial intelligence is blowing up. And part of it is because of the popularity of ChatGPT that's been around end of last year, and it's been a little bit crazy. Okay, everybody's kind of wondering what to do with it. And some are afraid of it. Which are legitimately a concern. Okay. So now I wanted to say that, but if you think about this, the AI, artificial intelligence, is actually made possible by machine learning. Right? And how do machine actually learn? They actually learn from playing games in the beginning. Okay. So, if you actually look at some of these histories, early on, like I think, machines have been programmed to play many games. I would say chess to checkers to various poker games, and so I mean, and you can see that there's a long time between like when they were being able to start to play the game to when they were able to start to beat human, right? So obviously some of the famous one that I want to highlight here is IBM's Deep Blue was able to beat the champion, the best human chess player in the world in 1997. And then Watson was IBM's Watson again. IBM was a big name back then, right? So they were able to beat the top on the Jeopardy player in 2011. And then more recently, not too long ago, DeepMind actually built this AI called AlphaGo, that plays the game of Go. Go is actually very difficult, unlike poker or chess or anything. The amount of number of possible move, right, from Go is actually so great that there's no way any kind of machine can actually just brute force memorize or kind of plan in any brute force way. Okay, so the amount of possible moves in the Go board is actually more than the number of like atoms in the entire universe. That's just enormous. You cannot even fathom how big that is. Okay, and yet DeepMind's AlphaGo is able to beat the world champion in Go, right? This Korean named Lee Se-do. Okay, and finally say, well, these are kind of board games. They're kind of not so impressive, right? But later on, OpenAI 5 was able to beat Dota, Defense of the Ancient, Dota 2, which is a highly complex strategic game. They were able to beat them 1 versus 1 in 2017. But the interesting thing about like Dota 2 is that it's actually a team game. It's a group game, right? You play with 5 players in a team and you coordinate to win, right? To achieve the objective, right? And a year later, OpenAI was able to beat the real team, a 5 player, so it's just like unbelievable. And most recently, I would just say like even Meta actually created an AI called Cicero. They were able to play the game of diplomacy and actually win in many cases as well. Okay. So now you may wonder, like, what so obviously AI actually learned from human, right? So what can human actually learn from AI, right? So yeah, obviously we can learn a lot from AI too, right? This is actually a case of, I would say, human learning collectively from everyone, because AI, what they have done is that through this machine learning training process, they have learned everything from everyone that's out there. Okay. So, the reason why, AlphaGo is able to beat Lee Se-do is this AlphaGo program has seen all the different gameplays in the world and learned from them. And moreover, they play with itself, and basically with so many games that it's more than, I would say, any human player can play in their entire lifetime. So what that means is that AlphaGo can make all the mistake that a human could ever make in their entire lifetime, probably 10 lifetime, okay, and learn from those mistakes and never make those mistakes again, okay, and that's how they're able to kind of beat the world champion, right? So I mean, so through this process, right, all these AI have become essentially a collective knowledge from everyone, and by learning from them, we actually learning from everyone. That's used to be thought of something that's pretty much impossible, right? So we learn strategies from AlphaGo, right? We learn teamwork from Dota, and we Cicero is actually surprisingly good at able to negotiate, even with other human player as well, either to collaborate or to kind of to negotiate for strategies, right? And this is even recently, with the launch of ChatGPT, we humans can actually learn how to communicate more effectively as well by just watching how ChatGPT communicates. Right, it's actually pretty amazing. Now, so one of the really interesting thing that I always think about is like how can AI actually benefit gamification? So this is probably really relevant for everyone here doing this hackathon, because obviously, how can AI help, right? I mean, how can I help you? Now, if you actually think about some of the biggest challenge in gamification, right? Some of these are, I would say, long-term gamification, right? Gamification usually work extremely well short-term, but then they don't work as reliably for long-term, right? And to address this problem, I actually have already, built many tools, these gamification spectrum to help you design these essentially a game within a game, gamification within a gamification, right? And then have these a ladder structure for you to engage people at different time scale, right? So you can engage people in a short time scale, and if the behavior that you're trying to drive is a long-term behavior change, right? Then you have to use longer and longer kind of gamification tools that has a longer and longer feedback time scale, right? And some of the and then one of the other problem is that, like, well, I mean, humans also don't learn very fast, right? I mean, so it does take time for humans to learn to change this behavior, and then and also sustain this behavior over long term, right? And so what's the problem, right? The problem is that, like, I would say that I would say not just in the gamification community, but I think in general, a lot of times when we try to make things simpler, we almost overgeneralize, right? I mean, for one example is, like, for example, we talk about Otto's player type, right? So and there were 4 player type, but do we really only have 4 type player out there? There's think about it. There's an entire world. There's only 4 player kind of archetype, right? It's definitely an over simplification, right? And then and then people kind of make things more complicated, right? There's like 8 kind of different player typology, and then there's 16 kind of different motivational elements that motivate. So after a while, it gets a little more and more complicated, right? Which is, I would say, necessary, because the world is actually not that simple. We are actually not that simple, right? So very often I would propose something called data-driven design, right? You really need to analyze, the behavior of your audience, and then basically come up with behavior analytics, and then design kind of, I would say, this gamification spectrum, right? So so now, even if you actually do this, right, for your entire population, so this spectrum is actually designed for your audience, right? Your target audience that you analyze. There's still a problem that this is actually is optimized for a population. It's optimized for everyone in your target audience, right? So it is the best you can do, but it's still kind of one, I would say, structure, one journey kind of you design, right? So the problem is that if it's optimized for the entire population, it's actually optimized for not for no single player, right? It's optimized for no one single player, right? So it's optimized for no one, right? So this is actually why like some of these gamified behavior, they still take a long time, right? So even somebody may actually go through this very quickly, right? But for those people where they are not actually optimized for, it does take them a long time. Sometimes they're stuck, in different places in this gamification spectrum, these ladders, and so they don't actually go through this as quickly as they could, right? And the reason is actually very simple, right? Because everyone is actually unique. No one is actually exactly like someone else. Like every one of us, even if you look at just what we are motivated by, what we're interested in, what we like to do, right? We are unique in some sense, right? Think about this. Is there another person in this world that's exactly like you? You tell me. Okay. I don't think you could find one very easily. I mean, unless you have, identical twin or something like that, right? Maybe, right? It's really, really, really rare. Okay. Maybe you could find one, but it's really, really rare. Okay. Everyone is actually unique, right? So what can we do? And this is actually where AI can actually come and help, right? Because one thing that AI does really well is the ability to adapt, right? To adapt and it's actually, I would say, to the environment. And in this case, apply to gamification, is actually adaptive to you and your behavior, right? So essentially, we can almost create this kind of personalized gamification, right? Which is actually optimized for every single person, every single player, right? So what kind of things can we do, right? I mean, so you can adapt, I would say the difficulty level, right? Some people, like simple things. Some people are, they're in a certain area that, let's say, I don't know, in weight training or something, right? Maybe they're not that strong, right? Some people are stronger than others, right? So they need to start, simpler, right? So you could adjust these difficulty level in cases where I would say it's not a kind of a competitive scenario, right? Because obviously you can't have a competitive scenario and make a game easier for someone and harder for someone, right? So that's not going to be fair, right? It's not going to be a fair competition there anymore, right? So in non-competitive situation, you could adjust the difficulty level to the person, and whereas if you are in some kind of competitive scenario, right, you probably need to use these, I would say, gamification spectrum, something like that. But the thing is that you can actually use these targeted kind of challenges. You could actually use predictive analytic to predict, how people are going to progress through these type of gamification spectrum, this ladder, okay, and see that if someone's actually going slower, right, then basically you can actually use these mission and side quests, right? If they're kind of stuck in some places, right, maybe they need a little bit more motivation there, right? Just give them a mission, a side quest that's a little different, and to engage them to do something, right? If they need to collect a couple more stars or something like that, and in this on this spectrum to get onto the leaderboard, right? Then create a mission, like tell them what they need to do to collect this 2-star, and then give them a time limit, right? If they need to share this information with 2 friends or something, with 5 friends, then you tell them that please, if you share this video with 5 friends within this week, you get 2 stars, and then you don't tell them that you just get on the leaderboard, because and once they get on, they'll know, right? So you create a mission, but these missions can be, I would say, apply as needed, right? Some people may not need it, right? It doesn't have to be the same game and experience for every single one. Some people actually go through this very quickly. They don't actually need to have these side quests and then missions, right? And you can actually AI can also offer real-time feedback, right, to the user. Right. So this is what to feedback and how to feedback and everything like that. You can actually feedback that's actually relevant to the person's kind of, I would say, receptiveness to feedback. Okay, so some people like, a lot of feedback. Some people like to be left alone. And then and that's kind of, I would say, different people you can actually have different strategies of delivering these feedbacks back to the person based on what's actually most effective for them, right? And you can actually learn, AI can actually learn what's most effective through this process called reinforcement learning to see which one is actually most effective as well, okay? And finally, personalization AI can also essentially have, with ChatGPT, now you can actually have this language and dialogue, with the user, and not only you can actually have different strategies of feedback, you can even use different styles of feedback, right? Are you more of a kind of a competitive person where this AI need to challenge you, right? Or are you more of a kind of a socializer type of people where you like to be encouraged and motivated, right? So ChatGPT can actually write the same thing in 10 different ways, right, to motivate different people, right? So even your engagement style can be personalized, right? So essentially you can see that this is actually very adaptive, right? It's adaptive, because everybody goes through this ladder in different speed, different rate, right? As needed, if you see when they actually slow down, when they start, AI can actually intervene and actually come in and apply these, I would say, side quests and mission as needed, right? And it creates this almost like a hierarchical structure, right? And it's different for everybody, right? Because now you can personalize even down to the engagement style. Okay, so this is actually how AI can help gamification. Now, on the other hand, how can gamification benefit the AI community as well, right? So this is actually a question I think about a lot too, because now I am in this world, right? So if you think about some of the biggest challenge in the artificial intelligence world, right? Certainly existential threat is one of them, right? Now, how do we make sure these AI don't come around and destroy us all, right? So this is certainly a legitimate concern, right? So even if the AI don't come around and destroy us all, right? What about the AI bias problem, right? I mean, AI is actually biased. Shortly after ChatGPT has been launched, people have given it various exams and stuff, and guess what? They're biased. So this actually ChatGPT in fact failed every single bias test. We political bias. This is actually people trying to understand the political bias in this ChatGPT. In fact, they fail every single test we could actually give it to them, right? Now it's gotten slightly better, but still it's not neutral, right? And when it becomes this information source that people go to, and you are not being objective, not being, I would say, unbiased, then how can people actually, believe you? And basically, people are thinking that this is going to essentially destroy the fabric of our society and create havoc, right? And because these kind of things have happened before, okay? In fact, if you look at history, the printing press, right, created a world where books and knowledge become much cheaper and accessible to everyone, right? And then people are saying that this is going to destroy the fabric of the society, and because people are going to be able to read the Bible and interpret it by themselves instead of talking to priests, and so that actually did actually created I would say a lot of havoc. Probably it did destroy the society in some sense, in a way that it created the Protestant Reformation movement, right? But it's a disruption, but you also create a lot of goods afterwards, right? So I do believe that people can adapt, right? So yeah, so fundamentally I would say that the problem is that humans are actually inherently somewhat biased. We don't make perfectly unbiased decision every single time, right? And also that we all, if there's actually any existential threat, is that we are actually the threat to ourselves, because why do you think about it, if there's any existential threat, if the AI actually tries to destroy us, we really have no chance, okay, at all, okay? If the AI wants to destroy us, we have no chance. But you really have to ask, why would the AI want to destroy us, right? And remember, how do AI learn? They learn from data, right? But who generated those data? It's really us, right? We generated all those data that AI learned from. The reason the AI want to destroy us, right, is probably because every time we come into a situation of conflict, we are trying to destroy each other, right? So that it's how AI learn. This is actually how humans resolve problem and compete with each other, kill each other, right? So if they come into conflict with human, they would believe that, they would know and actually believe that's actually the way to solve problem, because they learn from our data, right? So anyway, so that's the best. So I think the best way for humans to prevent this existential threat from AI is that we actually need to be better humans, right? We need to be good humans, right? The problem is that humans often don't learn fast enough, right? And this is actually where gamification can really help, right? So I know I'm out of time, so I'm going to go rather fast, right? So gamification can really help changing and upgrading our own behavior so that we can actually be better humans, okay? So we can actually have gamified learning that's actually fun, so we actually learn faster and adopt these new behaviors faster and better behavior, right? We can actually use gamification, for example, right now to reward these less biased behaviors and less biased decisions. And if these data actually feed back to the decision makers, maybe they will actually change how they make decisions, right? That is actually in a less biased way, right? And we also can reward long-term thinking decisions, right? So that we don't think about just the present, and we start to value, what's to come as well, right? So, so with AI and gamification together, we actually can create a much better humanity. So in one way, I would say that AI can help gamification in a way that it can actually help human not just learn new behavior, but better behavior, better decisions, so that we can actually be better humans, right? And then in turn, machine can now actually learn not just intelligent behavior, but actually can learn these good human qualities from us. Okay, so I do have hope that we will have a bright future, or if we actually do combine these two worlds together. So thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Michael. Thank you. That was great presentation. I mean, everyone just keep think about artificial intelligence. If they know us better, our motivational source and our player types, maybe systems wars will be very easy to motivate us, easy to motivate our kids, easy to motivate our workers, employers, customers. It's going to be much better experience for everyone. So thanks for this great presentation, Wu, again, and everyone just so inspired already. I see. Thanks for your time.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
And our third speaker is one of our community's favorite gamification expert, and he is from UK. And actually, we were expecting to him as a physically in Turkey in 2020, I think in May. Actually, we already talked about it, and our physical conference going to be with Andrzej Marchewski. His user type is very important for gamification industry, and he is actually doing this research more than years. And right now, he is with us. I am very such honored to have him in this great presentation. And I think he's one of the best and known gamification expert in the world. So here, Andrzej Marchewski, and yes, some of our volunteers know him with his guitar skills too. But today, hopefully, he's just show his skills on gamification. Welcome, Andrzej. I know that he's going to take this. That's nice.
Hello. Hello. It's been a very, very long time since I've done this, so I'm a bit out of practice. Right. So I was invited to do this to inspire you as gamification designers. And I could spend the next 15 minutes talking about my frameworks. I could spend the next 15 minutes talking about books, gamification, design, all these sorts of things. You know all of this. You're all gamification designers at this point, I'm hoping, because you're doing a gamification hackathon. So what I wanted to do was actually talk to you a bit more about being inspired. Fit it in with gamification, but have a little think about the things I'm going to tell you, because gamification, I've been in the industry for years and years and years, and it hasn't changed much. We still talk about the same things today that we spoke about 10 years ago. Michael's just done a fantastic talk on ChatGTP, for instance. Now, I've written 3 articles in the last 2 weeks through ChatGTP, and no one noticed. I barely wrote a word of it. I asked ChatGTP some questions, it produced the content, and one of them was so generic that it looked like 99% of all content out there on gamification, and ChatGTP did it for me. I didn't edit a word, and people told me how much they liked it. So for me, right now, what I want is I don't want to inspire you as much as I want you to inspire me, because I've done all of that. I've done these little sort of frameworks and cool stuff and fun things. And I think all my content has been made available to you for free in the Discord group somewhere as well. So explore that, enjoy it. What I want to talk to you about now is being inspired. So first of all, when you're being inspired to develop your gamified solutions, whatever they may be, the first thing to think about is, why are you doing it? Not why gamification, but why are you here? What is it you're trying to achieve? You must have an idea that you want to see built out in the hackathon. You must want to be solving some kind of problem. And the very first thing that everyone fails at with gamification is they don't define their problem. They go, gamification, That's cool. I like gamification. Let's build it. And so they go off and build it and they go, right, what am I going to solve with this? You know, it's like it's like making a spade before you knew you need to dig a hole. You've got this tool. And you're like, what can I do with that? I'll go and dig a hole. So the very first thing you need to do is be really certain of what you're trying to solve. Gamification is a tool. The frameworks, all of these tools that we have, everything, you know, Dr. Wu, one of my favorite people on earth, talks about some of the frameworks and how player types are too simplified. And he's absolutely right, as are we all. We all know these things. They're all tools. I was talking to Roman very recently, and I said this same analogy to him. Tools are useful within the right context. So a hammer can put a screw into a wall, but a screwdriver's better. You can smash it in there and it will go in and all the plaster will fly off. So when you're looking at your solution, when you're trying to figure out what the problem is and what your solution is going to be, think about the tools you're going to use and how they fit that solution and how they solve that problem. So do you need my player types? Great question. You know, this an obvious one for me to ask. You know, I'd love it if I thought all of you were going to use my player types to solve your problems. The reality is you probably don't need them, because you're working in a short period of time across 48 hours. You hopefully have a problem in mind, and you should have an idea of who your audience is. If you don't know who your target audience is, you don't know what your problem is. Because to know what the problem is means you know the audience that it's going to be you're going to be working with and what it's going to be solving for them. The player types are great from a perspective of having an idea of how to engage people to do something, not to analyze it afterwards, but as a tool to go, right, I want people to explore. Free spirits, let's get them exploring, give them tools to explore and create and make things. I want people to give back to the system, the philanthropists. Great, build things that allow them to share their knowledge. So hopefully you already know part of what that's going to be. So first and foremost, define your problem. Understand it, really get under the skin of it. Don't worry about game mechanics. Don't worry about AI. Don't worry about all the tools. Worry about the problem. What is it? How are you going to solve it? Is the second part of that. And then you can go into all of these great fun tools. You can go, right, I want gamification. I want AI to do a player type test before they start. As they're going through it, I want this player type to change and we're going to throw more stuff at them and it's going to be fantastic. And that's brilliant. Use all the tools that are available to you because there are hundreds of thousands of frameworks out there. Some are good, some are bad. Up to you to decide which is which. I'm not going to tell you, mine are best. But use them like tools. Find the right one for the right job. If you need to understand player behavior, use a player type framework. If you need to think about how long-term a solution is going to be, use Dr. Wu's spectrum. If you want to think about all the different behavioral triggers and the drivers and all this kind of stuff, use Octalysis. Join them all together into some massive mutant framework that does what you need to do. But don't stick to one. No one of them, no matter what we all say, and we all love our frameworks, no one of them is good enough to solve all problems. So look at what's out there. So define your problem. Define the tools you are going to use to solve that problem. Then maybe think about the mechanics. Maybe. How are you going to build it? What is it going to look like? What am I going to feel during your solution? What are you building? What emotions is that going to drive in me? Because we're emotional beings. Again, Dr. Wu talking about ChatGPT potentially taking over the universe. That terrifies me. Do I want to feel that in your gamified solution? Probably not, unless you want to teach me about something that I should be afraid of. Then yes, fear. That's what you want to get out of me. So think about the emotions that I'm going to feel during your solution. It could be entering my timesheets on time. How do I feel about that? Nothing. I feel nothing about entering my timesheets online. How do I feel about it when my boss messages me and says, hey, you've got one more chance to enter your timesheets on time or else I'm going to sanction you? I feel terrified. Is that a good motivator? Yes. Does it drive happy behaviors? No. How can you encourage me to do it in a way that I feel good about? Gamification is all about making people do more of something. It's all it is. Very simply, I want you to do more of something that maybe you don't want to do more of. All behavioral change programs are about making people do more of something somebody else said they need to do more of. Now, it might be for their benefit. So I've got a Fitbit counter, and I talk about these all the time. That tells me how many steps I've done. I don't want to do more steps. I'm lazy. I like my chair, but I know I need to do more. I'm asthmatic. I'm out of breath now just talking to you. So I know I need to do more exercise. So that is nudging me every half hour to stand up and move around a little bit and do whatever it needs doing. So how do I feel about that? It annoys me to death, but I know that it's benefiting me. And it usually comes at just the right time for me to stand up, do a little gym, and sit back down again and get on with work. So is that what you want me to feel? Do you want me to feel in your solution that I am benefiting myself, even though I'm doing what you wanted me to do? That's a good thing for me to feel. Do I want to do it rather than feel I have to do it? Do you want me to feel happy, sad, excited, miserable, grumpy, whatever it is? How am I going to feel whilst I go through your solution? So problem, think about how you're going to solve the problem. How am I going to feel whilst you solve this problem? What am I going to do through it? Game mechanics, because it's a gamification solution. Now you can start thinking about the game mechanics and how they're all going to fit together. This is like Lego. You've got a box full of tools and things and bits and pieces. How is that all going to come together? Are you going to look at using social interaction to make me want to do more exercise, for instance? So are you going to use peer pressure? My friends being able to interact with me and say, hey, fatty, do more exercise? Maybe. Are you going to use an actual real game to make whatever it is you want me to do more enjoyable? Because games are just learning. Raf Costa says fun is just another word for learning, because the games are the best way of teaching people things that maybe are boring and dull and rubbish. Gamification is often used to make awful things less awful. One of my definitions of gamification is making, I won't say the word because there are probably people on here who are too polite, but so I've just seen Roman saying, I would never say that to you. Is that about being fat, Roman, by any chance? Gamification is often about making bad experiences better. So is that what you're going to do with gamification? Is that why you are here? Think about that when you think about the mechanics, because some mechanics can actually make things more difficult. Some mechanics are essential. So if you were going to have one piece of advice from me on what mechanic to use above all other mechanics, it would be make use of progress. Whatever it is, can it be a progress bar? Can it be points and badge-based feedback? And I don't say rewards, feedback. Points and badges are not rewards, they are feedback. Please don't get into the habit of saying, give somebody a badge and they'll do more of it. It doesn't work, not for very long. But, as part of your solution, when you're looking in your Lego box of all your tools and all of your mechanics, if there's no progress, if there is no progression, no feeling of I start here, I get here, and I improve across that journey, and all the way along, I get some feedback and understand where I am and how I'm doing and how I'm performing, your solution can't work, because there's nothing to drive me to keep using the solution because I don't understand what I'm doing. So define the problem. Start thinking about how you're going to solve it. Think about how you want the person who's going through your solution to feel whilst they are going through it. Emotions are so important and so forgotten about when we build solutions. We think about it in very cold black and white terms. How am I going to feel during this build? Then mechanics. Make sure you include progress with feedback somehow. Doesn't matter how, as long as it's progress and feedback combined together. And finally, make it fun. Do something that actually makes whatever it is you're trying to do enjoyable for me to be part of, because then I am much more likely to do more of it and get more interested and more involved with it. Because if it ain't fun, I'm not going to spend my time doing it just because you want me to. So I think that's me at time. I think I'm about 1 minute over. So there, I hope some of that was useful. I hope that what you build is fun and solves the problem you are trying to solve. And like I said, there are tools out there. I think I've given away all my stuff for free on Discord. Altug can direct you towards that. Have fun, be awesome, and inspire me at the end of it.
Thank you, Andrej. Thank you. I mean, we already inspired me much. And I just wanted to repeat in just 2 minutes what you give us. It's very important. First of all, the Discord channel, everyone can reach after the opening speech. We already have our team in here, and we already our teams on here too, like Azerbaijan, Colombia, India, and in document part, thanks for Andrej and Bartufun and others. They gave some free PDF and books. Actually, we already put in here. This is the Bartufun book, as you can see, and this is the Even Ninja Monkeys Like to Play PDF from Andrej. So you can download it, my friends. All attendees can find this in documents at left in Discord. If you cannot able to reach, please reach us, ask them, and we can get you, and we will put some more content in here too. But I have a question, Andrej. I mean, I know that I think when I see total response of this user type, it was just thousands or something when I started the gamification. Right now, it's every day, it's still going. I mean, for example, in here, more than other countries include, Korea and everyone. Are you still wanted to improve it, still wanted to translate it, this user type, and how is it going now?
Yeah, I've just had a Japanese translation sent to me. So yeah, if you have a language that isn't included and you think you can make a translation that is still scientifically valid, that's the bit that's a bit awkward. It needs to be verified slightly. Feel free to send it my way, and one day I'll look at putting it into it. I'm not very quick at these things anymore, but yeah, absolutely. Feel free to offer translations of these things.
Thanks for this. I think this is one of maybe outsource of this event. Maybe as we have many countries attendees that they can find this user type and they can translate and they can send you, and maybe that will be good outcome for other countries too. Andrej.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
And thank you for your time. And I'm going to show you a card. Do you know him? That was a surprise. So this is.
Oh man. I'm glad you chose that photo though. That was when I was a little bit slender.
And do you know this guy too? They have something together.
Oh no, get that off the screen. No.
That's fun. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, my friend. And we are very excited to have actually Adrian Kuhn. I mean, this is I think the latest book on gamification, and it has got very good language to how we can improve our design for human-centric actually. And I'm very proud of that Adrian with us. And this is a great book people you can buy from Amazon.com. And actually, one of the latest books about gamification, You Have Been Played, How Corporation, Government, and Schools Use Games to Control Us All. And I watched Adrian in Gamification Europe in 2019, I think. It was a great presentation too. He's the founder of Zombies Run. And he's actually very complain about the points, badges, and leaderboard level of design, gamification design. And I'm very excited to have this event and give it the 4th presentation to him. Thanks, Adrian, for your time, and give us some influence. Thank you.
Cool, thank you. So I'm just going to go and share my screen. Can you hear this? See this okay? Is that showing up? Yep, yeah. Brilliant. Well, thank you for the introduction. I want to talk about how to do gamification well. I don't have any frameworks or anything like that to talk about, but I just want to talk about how important it is to be specific when you're designing gamification. And it's so easy whenever we're designing anything to sort of try and generalize. And, as, was mentioned in the introduction, I wrote this book called You've Been Played, which is a kind of critique of gamification. And it talks a lot about how gamification is done badly. I'm not going to talk about that because I don't think it's that interesting at the moment. What I want to talk about, because you're all interested in gamification, I want to talk about how gamification can be done well, because it can be done well, although most of it isn't, I think. I don't consider myself to be part of the gamification industry, even though that's essentially what I've been working on for the last 15 years with companies like the BBC and British Museum and Microsoft in my own company's games. I think what I try to do is I just try and make fun games, basically. And if the games help you do things that you want to do, but you're having trouble doing, like exercising or learning a language or things like that, that's ideal, but they have to be fun. Otherwise, they're not a game. They're just, they're just a chore. They're not really interesting. And so my company is best known for a game called Zombies Run. And it is a game that turns running into an interactive adventure where basically you put your headphones in at the start of a run and you press start and it tracks your run, a bit like, a running app. And as you run, you're in a post-apocalyptic zombie world, and you have to run to collect supplies and to run away from zombies and to rescue survivors. And this, this is gamification. I mean, it is using game design for a non-game purpose, but it's also just a fun game. And I want to talk about some of the decisions that went into making it and how it's different, because Zombies Run has 10 million players. It's a pretty profitable game. It's been really successful. We didn't receive any outside funding. If you can make a good game, people will pay for it. That's a great thing about video games. People are really willing to pay money for these things. But we aren't the first people to make running games, anything like that. So I want to talk about, specificity. Firstly, our goal was to make running more fun. It wasn't to make the most money, although that's nice. It wasn't to get people to use the app as much as possible, because that might mean that people hurt themselves. We don't actually want people to be running all the time. Otherwise, they might injure themselves. And so the reason why our goal was to make running more fun is because I was starting to run at that point, and I found it really boring and painful. So I wanted it to be kind of more interesting. Now, there are a lot of apps out there that use gamification. This is Strava, and it uses a lot of things that you'll have seen before. It's got leaderboards, it's got badges, it's got things like that. And I would say that I think that is motivating for some people. I think some people are motivated by beating their friends and by, collecting things. That is not, completely, it's not something that doesn't work. At the same time, I think it doesn't work for everyone. I think if you're someone who is having trouble running and who is like the slowest of all their friends, they're always going to be at the bottom of that leaderboard, right? And so the leaderboard is not going to be motivating for them to move. And some people just don't find badges interesting. The other thing is that Strava is kind of interesting because its model works on almost any different kind of exercise. It doesn't really matter whether it's running. It has the same kind of things for cycling or running or walking. And I think that means it's not very specific to running. Here's Peloton. Peloton also, has game design, has gamification components centered around leaderboards. And some people really like that, and it doesn't work for a lot of other people. So I'd say that's kind of not really specific enough to what they're doing. This is kind of really unspecific, just using badges, that I got from wiping. It's kind of interesting, but, you could use this for anything at all. This is where it gets a bit more interesting. This is a game called Nike Grid from 2010. And this was a marketing campaign done by Nike in London. And they split thousands of runners around London into 4 different groups, from East London, North London, South and West. And they had to run across different areas as much as possible to gain points for their team. And that's kind of cool. I think, however, that most of the people playing this game were already actually really into running. I don't think it was really turning people from not being runners into runners. And the reason why I kind of know that is because when you are physically outside running from place to place in this game, it's not really any different than if you weren't playing the game. The only difference is when you go home and you look at your computer and you look at the screen. But when you're actually running, it's still the same kind of boring run, right? It's not transforming the experience. You know, this game could work just as well whether you're in a bicycle or whether you're walking or things like that. So it doesn't really, to me, it's kind of not really exciting enough. And there's another game out there, a territory capture game called Turf, I think, Turfly, that came out a little bit after Zombies Run. And this is kind of interesting. This is a game where it would track where you run or walk in the real world, and you will go and capture these different parts of the world. So that's cool. It was kind of popular for a while, but then eventually people stopped playing it, you know, and they shut it down. And the reason is that it just wasn't that fun, basically. You know, it was kind of interesting to kind of see your points go up and to capture territory. But at the end of the day, you were doing the same thing again and again. And it was possible for someone to beat you just by walking more every day, let alone cheating. So again, if you were running, it just, you know, like it didn't really make the act of running more interesting. There's another game actually called Cash and Seek, which is very early, came out before Zombies Run. It's a Japanese game, and basically, no, South Korean game, and basically, it's kind of quite interesting. People could leave treasures in the real world, you know, using kind of augmented reality, and you could run over them to go and pick them up. And that's pretty cool. That is like something to do with running. The problem with this game was that when you would always have to be looking at your phone to figure out where the treasure was, right? So it's a bit like Pokemon Go. You're always looking at the map to kind of figure out, do I turn left? Do I turn right? Do I go down this road to sort of pick up the treasure? And the thing is, if you've ever actually gone running, you don't want to be looking at your phone when you're running, right? It's dangerous. You know, that's the last thing you want to be doing. If you go and watch people at a park when they're running, they've got their headphones in because they're listening to podcasts or music, but they're not actually looking at their phone. You know, they don't go and like go and check their phone every 5 minutes. And so that's kind of a similar problem with this game called Scramble. It's really cool idea. So the control was running faster or slower, depending on whether a zombie is chasing you. Just a game kind of unfolds automatically. And there are a lot of games like this, you know, progress games, basically. The other thing that we wanted to do is make sure that every run kind of felt new, because it's boring if the gameplay is the same every single time. And so we put in a story. And so as you're running, you have a story. And now we have 600 episodes of stories. And that's why we have people who've been playing for 10 years. So, you know, the final thing is that we wanted it to feel like we were really transforming the experience. So it wasn't that you'd be kind of go out for a run and you come home and you look at your phone and then it would say you collected these supplies and now you can do something in the game. Instead, we wanted it to be when you're running, you are immediately in the game. You know, it's a completely different experience running second to second, minute to minute, playing Zombies Run than it is playing any other game, you know, playing Turfly or whatever. So I think, you know, if you want to do something that is really successful, that gets people playing, that gets people paying you money, you know, and gets 10 million people downloading your app and playing, then you need to be really specific to the activity that you're trying to gamify. Whether that's learning, whether that's something else, you need to really understand it. You know, it can't just be something that you're kind of slightly interested in. This only worked because I had spent years trying to run and trying to make that more interesting for myself. So there are no shortcuts here. You know, you just need to find something that you're really into and really sort of get it exciting. So you know, that is, you know, what I've been focused on for the last 10 years. That's I talk a bit about in the book. There's a whole chapter about this if you're kind of interested about how to do it well. And I would say that if you do it well, it's really rewarding. One of the things that's most exciting about making a running game and a fitness game is that we get emails and messages and tweets every single day from people saying that we've transformed their lives. We've helped them recover from cancer. We've helped them lose weight. We've helped them gain energy. It's so great. That is one of the best things about doing gamification is when you can help people do the things that they want to do, but they find it difficult to do. And you can only do that by doing it well, rather than just making, a bit of money. So, this is one testimonial we had, which I love, excluding my wife and daughter. I think Zombies Run might be the best thing that ever happened to me. So that's my talk. Thank you. If you want to find out more, just go and follow me on Twitter or Mastodon. Thank you.
Thank you, Adrian. That was a great presentation. And just look from chatbot and everyone think about the story is a very strong pull game mechanic in Zombies Run. And I also take a look for your book, and you have a chapter called The World as a Game. That's a very nice chapter, The World as a Game. And you mentioned about this market points and some airline points and the balance with them. What is the advice to attendees of Global Gamification Hackathon if they are going to make some them is blockchain loyalty? The attendees choose that blockchain-based loyalty. What is the advice the young people attend this event from all over the world? If they try to make world is a game and the blockchain, do you have any advice to them?
My general advice for anyone is to try and make sure that your interests align with, the customer or the user's interests. You want to go and make sure that they don't feel that they are fooled, that they were taken advantage of. And so, there are some loyalty programs that work really well where I kind of feel like rewarded for being part of something. And there's some where I've used loyalty programs and I feel like I ended up doing kind of useless stuff. So, that's kind of my main note.
Thank you again, Adrian, the author of You Haven't Played. So everyone can reach this book, great book. One of the latest book spoke about it, and that was a great presentation for everyone to already influence. Thank you, Adrian, for your time. Thank you. And our next speaker is a neighbor country from Iran. I think he's a gentleman from Iran. Ali Riza is my friend, my brother. Even his country has struggled in this situation. Thank God that he's in Sweden. So he's able to do this presentation because one of the first men I emailed about this event, from Depti, India, Ahmet Osam from Egypt, and Ali Riza is Iran. So I'm very proud of have him as an opening speech too, and a mentor of Iran team too. He has a great team too. So thank you for your time, Ali Riza, my friend, and welcome. And stage is yours, my friend.
It's a pleasure. Thank you for having me, and it's an honor to be here. So let me share my screen and check with you guys to make sure that you can see my screen. Can you see this one? Let's talk about balance.
Yes, Alirza.
Perfect. So I'm really glad that Michael and Adrian all talked before me, because that's a really essential part of what I'm going to talk about. So just to know me a little bit, I was born in Iran, currently living in Sweden. And like many other designers, I've started from game design. And been in these two industries simultaneously, game design and gamification. And even currently, I have a job as a game economy designer in a AAA game. So let's get to the balance. Important to know about this presentation. This is based on my experience. This like 12, 13 years that I've been in game design and gamification industry. And this comes from what I've learned and from the projects that I have done. So there can be different opinions about this, as I have explained further in the presentation. So it's always been fascinating to me how different solutions, whether it's a game or a service or whatever it is, it's balanced and appeals to the feeling. That's really important, because what do we really know about balance? We know it's really important for the success of our solution, but different designers have got different descriptions and definitions for the balance in their solutions, whether it's a game or gamification or any other sort of behavior design approach. We know that it's really hard to get. You can, because of all the interconnectivity that you get in the balance, it's really hard to have a good balance approach in a solution. And you can simply lose it. Going to increase this value or going to promote this specific action in this period of time in your solution, and everything goes away. So we know that it's got a dynamic nature. And as I mentioned, the important part, the feeling of a balance that becomes as a perception for players, for the users, that we'll discuss later. And it's really dependent on the context. You're not going to balance an e-learning solution like the way that you are balance a marketing solution. So depending on the subject that you're choosing in this hackathon, the type of balance and the important parts of the balance that you are going to do would be different. And as I mentioned, it really has different meanings for different designers in different fields. There has been different approaches for categorizing the balance. These are the ones that I actually consider more important when I'm doing a solution, when I'm designing something, of course, depending on the context of it. So balancing the progression, we've got different tools for that. One part that we usually use is considering the variety chart, introduction of different game mechanics to the whole gameplay, and of course, the progression of the narrative. But this kind of balance goes hand in hand, as I mentioned, with different parts of the balance, like difficulty. Markel spoke about difficulty and the use of artificial intelligence in that part. That's the main aspect of what I consider in the balance, because changing any number, depending on when and where you want your user do something, that not only considers the progression, but also the way that user has spent and journeyed to get to that place, which will depend on the difficulty of challenges that you have put in their way. And finally, the one that covers all types of balance actually is the mathematical one, because I have talked about this aspect of behavioral design, gamification in different talks. And I believe that we are somehow interpreters of the human psychology, and all that behavior change that we consider as our jobs into numbers, formulas, and rules that we are setting, creating engines for those. So this one, although it looks like a bit harsh, needs more knowledge of mathematics, statistics, of course, different kinds of approaches to solving mathematical challenges and dilemmas, but definitely covers them at some point. So knowing about that is good, but also considering that numbers don't have that much of a soul thing that you need for your design. So as Andre is always talking about, keep the fun in mind and keep it fun. So what is a balanced solution? In my opinion, at least, it would serve the objectives of all stakeholders. If you are designing a solution, if you are proposing a solution, consider that you need to create a balance for all stakeholders. There have been lots of things about win-win and 3 wins and lots of them, but they are not equal. The win for different stakeholders, serving the objectives of different stakeholders, although it's not equal in numbers, but you need to have some sort of a balance between them because of that perception and feeling that we talked about. And the feeling that is really important here is the fairness of the solution. Again, fairness has different meanings for different people, different users, different players, but it's something that they would approach you about your solution. They can easily say that it's not fair that I have done this, but I have not achieved that. Why? Because users have a sort of a perception about your design, especially the linear perception about how difficulty will grow through your game. And that line of growth for difficulty is really similar to the line of flow from theory of flow. In that, it sits actually in that channel. So always you need to consider that, especially for the long run, because you cannot go through that without considering this perception of your users. At least that's what I've done, and this is what I've seen in different, I would say, data lakes and lots of data that we have gathered in like games with having 500,000 active installs on those things, going through their analytics. We have seen that the type of a perception that users and players have got is almost linear. They know that they will feel treated fair if the growth in the difficulty is in a linear order. So they can somehow predict it, forecast what's going to happen to them in the near and later through the future that they are going to. But we've got a problem in design, and that would be the increasing complexity wouldn't go linear for difficulty of balance. It goes exponential. So soon I have learned that going with 1 or 2 strategy, considering normal user journey and all of those things won't be enough for having a really good balance for a wide range of audience. And I've brought you these 2 samples, and just consider that I'm not the designer of these 2 games. Just because I have played them long enough, I test lots of games and get inspiration from many of these games for the solutions that I designed. These two, you can see I have played one of them almost 500 levels, and I think currently it's more than that. 525, as you can see, the number was from before. And the other one I have played almost 131 days. This is a long run for a mobile game, but as I said, I test them a lot. So going through how they deal with keeping player, how they keep their balance for a long run, how make you return, and all of those things. And the interesting part is that each of them covers the portion about creating a balance between supply and demand. When the game demands something from you, it provides it, if it has either provided it beforehand or provides it in a 1 or 2 later levels. But the interesting part about Royal Match is that they use what we call dynamic difficulty adjustment, DDA. That's a really known word in game design. And actually, that's what's based on what Michael said about using AI for creating personalized experiences for different players. You can never stop in this game. You can never actually lose in this game, because if you lose for a few times, the next time you're gonna win. This has become some part of some sort of a standard in many match 3 games, but in my opinion, at least, Royal Match has bring it up 1 level from other designs, and it's really, really interesting. This can be some sort of advice. Look into as many games as you can, successful games, of course, and get inspired. That's really helpful for lots of design that you can do in the future. And just to wrap it up, what we mean with personalization and what Michael talked about using artificial intelligence, this dynamic difficulty adjustment that I mentioned, it actually creates that, supports that linear perception that we talked about for players about growing in difficulty, and gives each player their personalized ones, because it knows how you play, and this way creates a balance in the moment for the player. This is, I think, what's missing from many designs that are considering to cover a wide range of audiences. And at least I have practiced this approach in some of my game design and a few of gamification design, because that would get a bit more expensive than the normal development. And it has proved itself really amazing in solving the balance problems that we get when we consider a really narrow band of balance for the audience. So thank you very much for listening, and hope it's been useful for you guys. I'm, of course, available on Discord for any discussions about this fascinating subject of balance.
Thank you, Alireza. That was a very nice and niche presentation about balance, and thanks for your sharing your knowledge about this game balance. I always love this game balance. Actually, I also give example from my lecture too, about, for example, from Uno games. You know, even you have many cards, you know, so you can still win. You know, that's the point.
Exactly.
Actually, these are very nice slides for attendees of Gamification Hackathon, my friend. And without you, it won't be same. And give our best wish to Iran and Iran future and Iran people. Our heart with all Iranian. Thank you, my friend.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
And we are very quickly actually going to, I will just show you to our website. And as you can see, our latest 3 talks, and Bernardo, actually we have a talk with Monica, but she sent a video for us and we are going to show this video in Discord. We have latest 3 talks, one of our from Bernardo Letev and Roman Rakowitz, and our friends Olcayto Cengiz is going to be make latest 3 talks in here. And I just wanted to show you the Game Master framework and the Blue Rabbit founder of Bernardo. That's a great framework I infuse in my cards too. So it's such an honor to have Bernardo in our opening speech in here. And welcome, my friend.
Hello, hello. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
I'm sorry. I bought this thing and now it's trying to eat me, especially when I wear this this T-shirt. And now it's gonna be bothering us for a while, if that's okay with you.
You're looking very nice, Bernardo. Thanks for that.
Okay. So, should I start or what do we do?
You can do, but I think you will use that puppet, right?
He's just gonna play with us for a little while. I went to make a sketch, but I'm really bad at not moving my mouth and speaking. And it's not funny. Anyhow, let me take it away. Okay, so hopefully you can see that. And all right, so who is this guy in front of you? I am the creator of this great tool called Blue Rabbit, and I made this to gamify education. This was the result of being a teacher and introduced to the world gamification early on, around 2011. And so I started creating this. I made it because I was tired of having the same experience as a teacher. And then I realized that I could actually make the class exist like one of my favorite games. So I based that in all of the different RPG games that I have played. And the result is basically this thing. If you want to try it out, I encourage you to go to this website. You can try it out at any point. That's going to give you a working demo. It takes about 10 minutes, 15 minutes to go through it, so you can test some of the mechanics. And I loved that Alireza was talking about the balance and the complexity and everything. So I'm going to be talking to you a little bit about that in a second. So Blue Rabbit is a gamified software ready to use. I don't like the idea that you have to purchase a platform and then build everything yourself, and then you have to hire an expert to build it for you. So I build a software where you can actually just go in, start uploading your content, and get something working for you. And this is a tree of a little bit of all the things that you can do within the app. It's a very small, compact universe. This is everything that I have built. But with this, you can do almost everything. Every time I talk to some of our clients, I always tell them, hey, ask me what you have in mind, and I'll tell you how to do it in the platform. And almost every single time we've got it. We found a way to gamify it. And what I can tell you, because if you're going to be part of a hackathon, you're going to try to build a gamified solution in the next 48 hours, I can guarantee you can gamify everything. All you have to do is use the right metrics. And in Blue Rabbit, we found a way by using only 3 metrics. Well, we measure a lot of things, but the players only place around 3 metrics. So they can purchase items, attempt challenges more than once, go and recharge energy, control difficulty, control accuracy, control the amount of players that can earn an item or share an item or sell an item, or you can do pretty much everything you want with only 3 metrics. And that simplifies your complexity, and it compacts everything into one incredibly powerful small universe. These are the 3 metrics that we use. You've got growth points. You can call them whatever you want. You can change the label to whatever you want, normally known as experience points. Then you have coins, and you can use those coins to purchase stuff. That means you can pay for another attempt at a challenge, or you can use it to buy whatever reward you have earned in the system. And you can use energy that allows it to control the difficulty. The energy is rechargeable, and depending on your level, you can have more or less. You can start with 100 points, and as you go by, as you do it, as you level up, you will have 300, 400 energy points that will allow you to do harder challenges without having to recharge your energy, or actually being able to overcome a challenge that requires 400 energy points. So you earn experience points to level up. You earn coins to purchase items, to challenge attempts, or to earn rewards. And then you do that, and we use this to control our difficulty. That's it. That is Blue Rabbit in a nutshell. That's all you have to do. Use 3 beautiful metrics. And we have engaged with over 13,000 players around the world. We have gamified successfully Gamicon every single time we have had Gamicon. We have been gamifying it. We just did it 2 weeks ago. We have gamified Gamification Europe in Berlin. We have attempted a fairly decent amount of different industries. We have gone from technology, we have gone from education, we have gone from health. We have done pretty much anything from everywhere. And all you have to do is plug in and play. Now, this is one of the reasons I want you to worry about the content, not the mechanics, when you build a tool. And if this works as a suggestion for you to design your softwares, or design your tool, or design your solution, this is one of the greatest issues that we have as gamification experts are on the planet. We normally face the problem that, A, you have to hire somebody else to do the work, or it's too complex to build by somebody alone. So try to build something where the players bring their content and not have to design the mechanics on top of it. You're building a solution, solve something. And I'm pretty sure that Anjay is laughing right now, because he loves the word solutioneering, and you don't build a solution where you don't have a problem. So make sure that if you're building a beautiful solution, a gamified solution, it's actually solving a problem. Now, one of my latest talks is called Everything is Gamifiable. And I brought a couple of slides from there because it matches perfectly with what Alireza was saying about balance. And to make everything gamifiable, all you have to do is use the right metrics. And a metrics is just a thing that you use to measure stuff, right? It's a standard measurement. Whatever you're measuring on the back, whatever the data, the big data numbers you are going to be holding, keep those to yourself. The players don't need any access to those things, all right? You can have a gazillion things in the back, but the real secret is that you have your public metrics very well controlled, and they know exactly what each of those represent. Now, when you match metrics with play, you get a game, and that is no secret for anyone in here. So if you start measuring how the players play, you're getting into a game. And then all you have to do is tell the players, hey, you took 2 steps forward. Hey, you took 3 steps forward. Hey, you lost 5, you went 5 steps backward. Outside from that, we can make it more beautiful, or more accurate, or more fantastic, or you can add more narrative. But if you miss that little part where you tell them where they're standing, you're missing the entire point on gamification. It's basically knowing where you're at and which way you have to go forward, and trying to reach that goal. So when you're talking about a metric within a game, it's an arbitrary assumption of player skill. Make sure the players know what their numbers represent so they can move around. Now, there are some things that you need to know about the metrics. The more metrics you add, the more rules the player needs to understand. So it becomes more complex. If you need many metrics, make sure you introduce the players to all of them little by little. If you put everything out there from them, it's going to be really hard for them to understand the game, so they drop it really quickly. So make it an easy way to go through it. The less metrics you use, it's most likely that you're going to have more users, but then it's going to result in shorter engagement. So that's how you have to balance. If you don't have too many metrics, if it's not a very complex game, a lot of people are going to get it, but maybe you don't have enough metrics or enough elements to engage your players on the long run. So just try to find a balance between those two things. And if you can solve it with one metric, solve it with one metric. Do not add metrics just for the sake of metrics. Stop using metrics. And I know that I have mentioned the word metric more than it's measurable at this point, but please just control it, right? Now, there are some rules on how to do this. Use one core metric to measure progression. The rest of your metrics should relate to it somehow. If you have one for the players to know how they can level up or they can access more items or whatever, you have everything revolving around it, and players are going to be able to relate a lot easier. Now, each metric is a dimension of measurement, and the more dimensions, the harder it is for us to put them together. Not only as a player, but also as a designer. Trust me, when you start adding access to the measurement, or you start having these very weird graphs and everything, it becomes impossible for you to go back to the client and say, hey, these are the results. And an engagement loop goes a long way. And Altuk was showing you the front of our framework, of our gamification design framework. Thank you for that. I can give you access to that anytime you want. You can go to our website and check it out. But there's a lot of things that we can add to a simple gamification loop to ensure, a simple engagement loop to ensure that the players are going to come back easily throughout the process. And I think this is the one thing that I want to leave you with. Remember that you're dealing with humans. You can't control all variables. So if the players find a way to game your game because you allow them to, then it's not, they're not playing against the rule. You didn't find a way to lock that thing out, or you didn't consider something. So consider that you're playing with humans. This is not a video game where you're going to have all the variables under control. They're going to try and find ways to play around it. And well, that's pretty much it. I don't want to take any more of your time. I think that it's been 15 minutes and I've been speaking really fast right now. But the one thing that I want to leave you with is, it is very important to understand that life is already a game. The thing is that once we grow up, we get to play for real. And if you're doing any gamification design, you're trying to get people to play for real, to take it seriously. And it's incredible how easy we forget that we don't need anything. Life's already giving us enough feedback. We just kind of like get entangled in it. Gamification is one of the greatest things on the planet. It gets people back on track. It will motivate you the right way, and it will give people a sense of direction, which is something I believe we are in so much need right now. And so may the force be with you. And if I can answer any questions, don't hesitate to ask. I really, really, really love being here, love being part of the community. And that, as they say, is that.
Thank you, Bernardo. Thank you.
I'm still here. Okay.
Thank you very much, Bernardo. That's a great presentation. I mean, I have to say that that was a very fun entertainment and very learning experience. Our community is actually, I have a question for you. I think it's very important for our community, because my community actually mostly teacher and academician. And you are a teacher, ex-teacher, maybe. I don't know if you will pronounce that. Right now, even from Turkey, you have one of the best gamification platform and engine, and you have one of the best guy you can work from globally. So you have a journey. That's a very important journey, from being a teacher then and being one of the best gamification guru in the world. So what is your advice to this presentation? They are going to make some hackathon attendees. They are teachers and academicians. What is your advice to them, even after hackathon? How they can start for being a guru like you?
Well, the one thing I can tell you for sure is trust that what you're doing is going to work. One of the things I had to fight a lot was internally my own fear against thinking that maybe this was people are not going to follow through. Maybe it's not gonna engage people that much. I can tell you already, it is going to work when you build something. And for especially for educators, I can tell you that the education system has the bar so insanely low that when you do something that just goes a little bit above it, it becomes incredible. And the response from your players is going to be incredible. I can tell you already, just because you're standing here and you're coming into this hackathon and participating into this, it will definitely become a great project. Trust in it, and trust that there's enough people in the world. The gamification community is insanely generous with their time. Everybody wants to help you out in ways that you can't imagine. So don't feel alone, and you're doing it the right way, and you are going to get it right. All you have to do is keep moving forward. One of the best advice I got, I'm going to share that with you because it was from a great friend. He wrote it in his book, and he said, keep doing what you're doing. Just keep doing what you're doing, guys. You're going to be able to work your way through it. Just being a gamification designer and a big gamification designer and gamification expert, it's a long journey, but it's worth every minute of the time. You get to purchase these puppets and use them in your talks.
That's nice. I think it's some kind of rewards from Blue Rabbit or something with points we can have.
No.
No.
I can figure something out. Let me ask the owner. Maybe he knows. Maybe he owns. He knows something. I'll ask the owner. What does he think about doing so?
Thank you, Bernardo. Thank you, my friend. That was such an entertainment, and thank you for your slides too. And such an honor to have you again. And I think Roman is very enjoy your slides too. Probably he will reference you to your slides too. I mean, Roman, thanks for with us. And after Bernardo, I know that it's going to be hard for you to make a presentation with a serious way. But Roman Rakwitz is one of our volunteers' favor because he was with us. He came to in 2019, and I remember, the physical event that was. We are trying to get very quickly about. I remember the package. When I just take a look somehow in the evening, Roman and Jasmine Karataş and Roman Rakwitz was helping our volunteers to put some books or papers and sponsorship things to the art back. I remember that moment. That was a great moment. I said, "Is this Roman Rakwitz? Really?" So yeah, thanks for you. You are here too. People are still remember those good days, and your time is very important for us, Roman. And thank you for your time and welcome.
Hey guys, thanks for having me. It's amazing what you came up with, what you organized, and I still remember the evening. And it was a lot of fun. And still, I always tell you this, that the community in Turkey is so thriving, flourishing. It's fun. It's crazy. So, but said that, now after that very charismatic and funny Bernardo, now back to the serious German guy. So sit still, sit straight, and listen. No, okay. So the point is this. When I thought about the hackathon and then all the groups and the topics that you're coming up with, that you're working on, and I thought about, okay, what has some kind of value or whatever, some kind of experience that I can share. I think what's important for me, or what's interesting for me, is that you have to say that I'm more focused on the implicit side of gamification. I don't know if you guys know the difference between explicit and implicit. But to make it short, implicit means that I have to gamify activities, situations, software processes, but they may not look like a game. They may not sound like a game. They may not listen sound like a game. So it's because we are serious Germans here, yeah. And most often my customers are from the German-speaking countries, and so if it only looks slightly like a game, they already don't want to do it because they think, okay, I'm not a child, yeah, don't behave like that. So this is where I'm really focused on. And what I realized by being focused on that kind of area is that when we try to gamify something, or if something should be like feeling like a game, experience like a game, it's not what you can see on the screen. It's not about the pixels that make something a game. I mean, I think it's obvious because, of course, the game industry didn't invent intrinsic motivation. But actually, if you look at all the solutions or most approaches, it's pretty easy it seems to be pretty easy for most people just to slap some kind of funny pixels on something. And but the point is this, and I think the reason is we have I think there are different images of man. You say it in English? Yeah. Image of man about how we behave. Most people think, hey, people want to have it easy. They want to have it fast. They want to win. And so this is why they design things like that. Okay, this is something they don't want to do. How can we make it easy? How can we make it rewarding in a particular way? Whatever. And I think this is most often the case why at the end there are some kind of solutions like, okay, if you do this, you will get that. The point is, if you really think about humans, and this is the image of man that I have, is that it's the opposite. We like to be challenged. We like to feel progress, and I mean meaningful progress. And with meaningful progress, I mean that we had to become better in order to progress. I mean, if you think about everything that we are doing intrinsically motivated, all over the world, no matter what kind of gender, age, culture, background, experience, whatever. It seems to be that there are 3-4 different main activities, categories that everyone on Earth tries to do voluntarily. So intrinsic motivated. We are doing that kind of stuff because of the sake of doing that. And this is, for example, of course, playing games, but no matter what kind of games, okay? It's not just about video games. It's also about sports, music, hobbies. And if you look at these categories, the interesting thing here is that they become harder when we are progressing. I know immediately that if I finish level 2, oh, level 3 is getting harder. And hopefully, or probably, I have to use what I've just learned in level 2 in order to be able to progress in level 3. So it seems to be that, and science knows that, by the way, looking especially at evolutionary biology, that human beings are really enjoying situations that make them that make them better, where they have to become better in order to progress. And if you look at neurochemistry in our brain, it totally makes sense, because all the fun with neurotransmitters and so on is happening when there's a lot of information being released in the brain. And this is only the case when we have some kind of aha moments, when we are learning, when we are failing, when we're realizing something, whatever. And so and we can really see that in games, because if it really would be about, hey, I'm doing something, so I'm getting something, games would be the worst items ever, because there we are failing 80–90% of the time. But we still love it. And I can tell you something, we love it because we failed 80–90% of the time and didn't progress and had to find out how to solve it. And then finally, wow, aha, now I got it. I learned, I applied my new learnings, and oh, it still didn't work out, but now it worked out. And so now I'm ready for the next step. So Bernardo had already talked about that. Andre had already talked about that. Michael Wu, with his spectrum method that I really love and live, has talked about that. It's about, at the end, and I'm really convinced about that, it's about personal progress, no matter what you're doing. And what's the interesting stuff here is that it doesn't help if you have a tedious activity or something that people really don't like to do because it's tedious, because it's boring, or they just don't know why they should do that. If you only put some kind of elements, pixel, whatever, something like a gamified layer on top of it, you didn't change the actual activity. Perhaps you made it easier to accept the activity. Perhaps you have an amazing reward program and you bribed the people to accept the activity. Whatever it is, but you didn't change the activity. So an incentivized activity or shit activity is still shit. And so you have to change the system, or you have to come up with some kind of design where they realize, or you can use the pixels that we always want to use as some kind of feedback method, so that someone sees within an activity something that he didn't see before, but now it's becoming worth his time. Because now he realized, okay, I really don't like to do this tedious work, but if I look at it from a bigger picture, from a macro point of view, perhaps, I suddenly see that, okay, this tedious activity is just a little milestone or little part of an overall journey that I really love to go, where I really can progress, where I find my meaning because I want to go somewhere. So we always have these kind of different activities, and then we think about different personas or whatever, but one thing is always the same, the human being. And I think if you break it really down, we are still these ancient mammals that were only looking for survival. And it was an evolutionary tool to develop a brain, or yeah, the brain was developed by evolution actually, so that it enjoys an activity where it really uses all its capacity, or has to use all its capacity, so that it increases the probability of survival. And it created the brain in a way that it really enjoys this kind of activities that make it much more probable to survive. And I think if you look at games, these are all simulations where we have to figure something out. And so it's easy to get started, but it's hard to master. And we love these paths to mastery. This is what's so engaging. In contrary, if we play a game over a long period of time, it becomes even more engaging. And if we play longer, what I mean by that is that imagine you're playing 10 levels of a game and you really like that. And now you have level 11 and 12 and they suck. It's just boring. Because you already put the effort and time into the first 10 level that were engaging and they made you stick, and then you realized progress within the 10 level, you're much more likely to be resilient through level 11 and 12 and going through this valley and stay motivated to look or to find out what's coming behind that or after that. If you only did it for level 1, it was amazing, but level 2 and 3 are boring, it's more probably that you put the game away and you're looking for something different. So we love to know that we are putting our time into something worth our time. And how is our brain defining worth our time? It's still ancient, so it's about how to survive. Did we become better and whatever? And from my point of view as a gamification designer, you can come up with the most amazing graphics, sounds, narratives, whatever, and you will need them. So that's correct. But at the end, at its core, especially when we're talking about long-term gamification, not I want you to do something just once. If you want to keep people for more than a few years even in an engaging loop, it's really to showcase them that by doing the activity, or the activity that you want to gamify, is just a tool for the user to help him to become better in a bigger journey, within a skill, whatever it is. And if you can manage this, that he's able to realize that, then you can add a lot of different mechanics, narratives, nice looking pictures, whatever it is. And perhaps sometimes you can even give him a reward. But I think that's actually the case. So now when you're looking at your projects and what the people already said, Bernardo, Andre, for example, you have to solve a problem. So you have, from my point of view, you have this technical problem that you want to solve at the end of the gamified activity. But at its core, you always have to solve the problem that whatever the people have to do, they want to realize that it's worth their time, so they are becoming better by doing that. And so you have always these two, from my point of view, as a gamification designer, you have always this macro level, macro point of view, macro design, and you have this micro design where you're actually changing the activity, the software, whatever you're doing. Perfect. So I hope so that was my German English. So I hope you're proud because I never used, I think I didn't use the slightest English accent. So you're welcome for that. But yeah, I hope at least it sparked one or the other thought. Thanks.
Thanks from us, Roman. You will be also mentoring tomorrow too, as I heard. Correct?
The day after
Sunday morning. Yeah. So that's very important to have a mentorship from you too for all attendees. I can announce that for Sunday morning on Discord channel. You can see Roman Rakwitz and he can share his knowledge with you. And thank you for this opening great speech, Roman. And looking forward to do. And thank you for your time. And our latest speaker from Germany, but this time he's a Turkish. He's my friend. He's a good friend of also my family too. And Olcayto Cengiz is actually, I think he's been in every GamFed conference from scratch. I think the physical one too. So he never say no to me. I don't know why.
Neither do I. Neither do I. Like, hopefully this will be my last for my jubilee or whatever. I mean, just look at all the people. At one point, I just lost the track that I'm not. I totally had the feeling that I'm not a speaker. I was just listening to everyone like this, and I was thinking, oh, okay, God, they are so cool. They are so great. And so, yeah, thanks for inviting me again, and thanks for just putting me right before everyone is trying to go to hackathon. And after these all awesome talks, so I'm going to do my best to keep it fast, to keep it short in the best way possible.
Thank you, thank you, Martin. Boom.
Okay, now let's share the screen. All good?
Yes, handsome man.
Of course. Okay, so let me take it from here. So, hi, everyone. I am, as Atu mentioned, I'm originally from Istanbul, and I'm the experience designer and gamification manager of Accenture Song, which looks cool in LinkedIn, on everything, on everywhere. But practically what I do for actual living is, at least my best, being the father of Rüzgar, my son, 12 years old son. And I'm a professional respirator. Like for the last 47 years, I do breathe in and breathe out quite good. I'm really good at it. And I live in Germany since 2016, which makes everything, yes, Roman, which makes everything great, because today we're going to talk about more on the experience side. And living in Germany really helps me understanding the German part, because for the gamification part, my son helped me through to understand all gamification mechanics. I can tell better than ever and anyone else. But for the experience, Germany was quite helpful. And yeah, jokes aside, today, as I mentioned, as my previous fellow speakers mentioned, I as well thinking that you all know gamification, the mechanics, or have a basic understanding. So today I'm not going to tap on those. Today I want to take you through with a little bit more like on the experience side, because what I do is I did actual hardcore hands-on gamification, but I'm mainly doing more experience design, which involves the gamification here and there, because I totally believe in the tools of gamification, the mechanics and everything. But all of you young people, like everyone, should be aware that we are in a very interesting time of the world. Like I always used to say, I envy my grandma. When she passed away, she was 93, and I was like, okay, you saw TV, radio, so many stuff. And I can tell we are doing the same thing. And now, and in the last few years, more than ever. So experience, right? Like this is one of the coins that we love to drop away, like doing this experience. This is all experience. Well, basically the vocabulary meaning is like, as you see, knowledge or skill from doing something and feeling things, which is the real deal. And the second option is like something that happens to you and affects you how you feel. So keep in mind that the experience is all about actual emotions and feelings, or however you mention it, however you experience it. And experiences for me, since I'm a kind of a food-driven guy, it's very much like a good food. Like when you have some good food experience, it tangles all the right places to get you more of the experience. So today, I want to share some food for thought for you all, just in case if it helps. First of all, I'm sure you never heard this sentence before. So, like we all now know, right? The customer is the king. We always say this. Yes, it is still. We are all individually kings, and we are all individually serving the king. But now, king has new commandments. And this is kind of changing the rule of the game a little bit, because this wasn't like this always. Because now the king is asking for accessibility, sustainability, equality, diversity, loyalty. 5T, as I say. So it is, and if you take a look at every one of them, right now, for those who want to involve in gamification in a professional way more in the near future, these are the topics that like all of us is handling right now, because all these new tech, all these new things happening are tackling all of these each individual ones. And as you can see, 5 of them are talking about one thing in common: human. So human is in the center. And we mentioned about experience. So how was the experience going on? We know that the experience has become a physical thing, or it's a digital one. Basically, it was always like this. We were having some physical experiences, and now we were going to like social media or whatever. We were having some digital experiences, digital this and that. But nowadays, things start to get a blend a little bit, which is called more like a phygital. This is a super weird word with a lot of letters, only 2 vowels, but phygital, or maybe it was change in near future, actually what we are really facing. So phygital experience as a definition is, as you can say, combining the physical and the digital world, like bridging both of them with interactive experiences, which interactive word is now a little bit old school. Everyone is trying to avoid the interactive, but still it is interactive. And in this phygital world, when all of you want to proceed in your gamification careers, what I can just recommend you to take a look at it. One is, as you can do, the thing is we have to come up with a memorable and unique interactive experience. And for that, one thing is coming in, which is already there. As I said, Experiverse. As a metaverse, we know, right? The metaverse is here. Metaverse is changing stuff. But if you ever experience the metaverse like as it should be with the goggles and everything, metaverse is so in baby steps. Unfortunately, everyone has jumped on it like social media. They expected huge thing like a Ready Player One effect, and then they ended up at 1980s Sims interfaces. Everyone was like, nah, I mean, is this the thing? But it is actually here, and it's going to change the stuff. You can be sure about it. What metaverse is facing hardly is the hardware. The access of the metaverse is not like this. You need the tools, the headset, this and that, because accessing to metaverse environment through the computer screens doesn't help. In Accenture, for example, just to give you a glimpse, we are taking this thing quite serious. We have a whole new dedicated metaverse continuum group, has been founded in the beginning last year, end of last year. And there we had so many events. And lastly, this is me, my selfie. This was like Accenture Songs Learning Festival, which happened globally, and everyone joined it in Altspace VR because of the Accenture's deal, Accenture's partnership, and we had tremendously good time here. But metaverse was like up and down. So why? Because another player just kicked in. The GPT, we tackle this topic a lot today because like with the chat GPT, which is generative pre-trained transformer for those, and it is quite changing a lot. These kind of screens we used to put in our social media slides back then, like reaching out 1 million customer, 100,000 customer, and we left using this until ChatGPT comes in. I mean, 5 days, 1 million users. I met the people who did this from Munich, a super young guy. We had a conversation, and you had to listen from him because he just went to sleep, and in the morning it was all over the place. So ChatGPT is changing things. Why? Because AI is changing things. You can find a lot of web pages like this. There is like a tons of AI. For those who is old enough for me, can remember the phrase, there's an app for that, for Apple's, for App Store tagline. And now there's an AI tool for that. And that tool can help a lot. That tool, these tools are gonna make tons of us jobless. You can trust me. Because unless you put the understanding of it, unless you get the core of it, what's happening there. And now, when we have the metaverse and this AI, also there is this topic which was there, but now it's coming more and more. The cloud computing, the cloud data, the cloud is there. Everyone wants to place in there. We are trying to get rid of the machines. We are becoming more connected to the matrix. So whatever you're going to build up, you have to think it that it's going to run in the cloud. It's going to connect with the cloud. It's going to do this communication here and there. And while this is happening, do you know what changed? Channels changed. We used to say multi-channel. Yeah, we were using multi-channel, but now we have the omni-channel. Why omni-channel matters? Because now your product doesn't matter. The people matter. Because in the multi-channel, it was like you are going in a one medium and another channel, you were getting it. But with the omni-channel, everything is built around you. Everyone is trying to give you, all the products trying to give you a very smooth transition between all the channels. So as a result of this, you can say that, yeah, we know the demographics with the behavior, the demographic targeting is dead, my friends. I mean, how can you target in a metaverse environment where a little thing where Roman and me, we can smile by crying called GPT, where your data is behind locked doors. So how can you create a demography? Because you used to say, my players is between 18 and 35, going to this, graduated from the, now your player is a dragon, or your player is something else that you don't know. So behavior targeting is super important. Why is it important for you? Because you need to understand whatever you're going to build, you can be able to squeeze out the behavior, your players' behavior, your consumer, what they are, how they are reacting to what you're doing, and how they want to proceed more. And that thing will carry to you to the other point. It's all about customization and personalization. This was always the topic. And I always, when I do on stage talks, when I come to mention about this customization, I always ask the crews the same thing. Like, are there anyone in this crowd using their phone with their standard background, standard app order, standard side? There's no one. We changed the background, we changed it. This is in our DNA. And now everyone wants to do it. And with AI and with metaverse, with all these tools, they're all serving you. They're all serving user, consumer, to create what they thought or what they even didn't think of it. And from the client perspective, what I can say is gamification is heavily taking place on employee onboarding and trainings. This is something you can tackle, and this is going to be something like, it looks like it's going to be here for a while, because the numbers are, look at me, I have a slide with some charts on it. So it's coming, and it's here actually. So when you put the gamification in onboarding and employee training, but mainly onboarding, it changed a lot. Because we all know it, right? It's all about getting rid of the boring stuff, getting rid of all the other stuff. So your gamification set, tool set, should be serving this need in the best way possible. Because my fellow speakers mentioned about, the problems, solving problems. It is actually the pure definition of creativity born from problems. If you don't have any problem, you can be sure that you're not creative at all. You have to be struggle. And the struggle is real because now we are facing from clients requests like this. We would like to have an experience in the metaverse for our employees where they can onboard and training in their own pace using it. Like, it's just like a paragraph where you threw away all the keywords. And you know what? Still, as a gamification designers, game designers, we can say, okay, it looks, but we are, no, it's nothing for us. It's good. Let the others use it. Let the others use it. But then they say, please don't make it boring. And they just want to have fun, just like the girls want to have fun from the Cyndi Lauper song. So everybody want to have fun when they're doing boring stuff. But what you need to keep in mind, things are changing in a very fast pace. You need to get an understanding what's happening out there. You need to get an understanding where this is going. And just please ignore, including me, anyone who tell you that this is going to change the future. This is just you go out there and take away your own learnings through reading, researching, following, learning. Because now it is not just about hacking the system, unfortunately, or luckily, now we need to hack our mindsets, because nothing is going to be quite same as it used to be as we came to this point. So all I can say is now you're all jumping in the hackathon, coming up with super awesome stuff, I'm pretty sure. So let the games begin, my friends. And thank you for listening to me.
Thank you, Olcayto, my friends. And we have great slides we already see, and we have real customer problems, let's say, and real interesting requests. And that's a good word. Thank you for your time. And do I have any questions right now? I just share your LinkedIn page to people to follow you. And yes, that was a good close session, I think. And
thanks again for inviting. And I wish everyone the best outcome from this awesome 3 days.
Thank you very much, Olcayto. Thank you for your time. Give my love to your family and great Rüzgar, the other friends too.
My pleasure. Have fun.
Thank you very much. Yeah, Mr. Lee from Korea here. Hello, Lee. So I think we are all set. I think we have 8, 9 speak from all over the world, and that was all inspiring. I took many pages notes, and that's very good start of this great presentations. Thank you for everyone. And we are ready to start 48 hours, my friend. Yes, and we will go to Discord channel, and hopefully everyone has reached Discord channel for tonight too. And tomorrow, after morning, we will start the mentoring sessions, and we have more than 10 mentors, including me. I will visit every team and try to help you about this great event. And I just wanted to give latest word to Doğancan about events. And I know that we have more than 88 person in Discord channel. We have also a party called and support with the VMaker Turkish company. And if you want to meet the other teams, we have maybe Doğancan going to count to every country from Colombia to Korea, so you will get a meet in tonight, my friends, for just a couple hours. We will have a metaverse meeting party in VMaker platform. So I just wanted to give a latest word for Doğancan for the all flow. After that, then we will go to the Discord channel. Doğancan, go on.
All right. So first of all, I am very happy, and I'm very proud of that. I'm here for today for these sessions, and actually we will continue on Discord. Teams will start their projects on Discord, and after let me check, in 2 hours, I think 1 hour half and 2 hours, we will have a VMaker meetup party. You will find the details both in I think Kerem is writing on the chat now, and also you will find it on Discord. We will continue on Discord for Saturday with mentoring sessions. We will have great names like Pete Jenkins, Pete Bakins from now on, Niels van der Linden, Rob Alvarez, Ricardo Lopez Costa, Vasilis Kogidis, so also dear Ercan Yılmaz. So we have many great names as mentor, so you can ask them to get some support on their slots, available slots for tomorrow. And on Sunday, we will continue to finalize our projects, and we will have the jury session. So every team will pitch their idea and their prototype in 3 minutes. And then after these presentations, our jury will evaluate the projects, and they will share with us the winners. So we will share the winners and the rewards after that. So actually, I was preparing some last words like "May the force be with you" or "Let the games begin." But from now on, after Bernardo and Olcayto, it will be much more cheesy. So I will say "Game on" for this weekend.
Thank you, Doğancan, and thank you for Afra. I don't know if she's able to open her cam, because that was very seamless event already, and all YouTube channel and organized by Afra. Thank you, Afra. I mean, that was a great experience that everyone thinks about. Maybe I am doing the conference, but normally, of course, people are doing the conference. And thanks for this seamless organization, Afra. Thank you for this teamwork, includes everyone, includes social media and everyone. And we are very excited to have the projects to work with our guys. And Discord channel is going to be happening. And for less word, actually, I'm going to share a very influencing word, because Olcayto makes me reminder that word. Maybe our first online gamification hackathon, we request Oğuz Hoca. Maybe you know Oğuz Buruk Hoca. He's working with gamification group in Finland. Actually, he was going to attend. He's Turkish, and he's working with Professor Hamari, Joe Hamari. And that was the one before for Turkish community, the Turkish gamification hackathon. But that was a good ending message with him, and he's always tried to give best advice to people. So his advice, I am repeating them to actually for all global gamification practitioner in hackathon. His advice, the professor advice to you today, is not only the hack to gamification, but also the hack gamification itself. I think this is a good idea. So don't follow the steps, create your steps. You know, the best way, your own way. So this is the gamification way, and this is the actually message from Hamari to Turkish community. But I just wanted to repeat this message from you to every attend this event. For please hack the gamification itself too. And see you in Discord, my friend. And thank you for everyone being a part of great opening speech. See you soon. Bye-bye. Thank you.